Wait, wasn't there a pillow on his head?
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, August 15th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1164.
This is No Agenda.
Adjusting the algos, tweaking the twiddlers, and broadcasting live from the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Yes, you are, John C. Dvorak. Without
Big shooting in Philadelphia. Another crazy shooting in Philadelphia. Oh, wait a minute. Just a bunch of cops that were shot, so never mind.
You know the problem with that shooting in Philadelphia, don't you?
There's more than one problem. What's the problem that you saw?
Well, I didn't see it, but I'm pretty sure the shooter wasn't white, and that's a problem for news reporting.
This brings us to the clip.
The bonus clip. The bonus clip. Yes.
When CBS played this on the morning show, they said, and then the shooter was then surrendered, and then they showed a white guy coming out of the building. People should go look at this clip.
Really?
This is on CBS this morning. It's on the CBS news site right now.
Was that the guy?
Shooter,
was that the guy? Was that the guy?
No, it was one of the hostages.
Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yes, they said, I watched it a couple of times. I said, oh, this guy's a freak. It was like some white guy with one of those long goatees and a bald head, kind of a creepy looking guy coming out. And I said, oh, God, what a creep. And so he's coming out. And then later in this thing, when they showed the guy, when they showed him at the hospital or something, the shooter, or they showed a bunch of people at the hospital, they had one guy in cuffs. It was a black guy. I said, wait a minute. Wasn't the shooter a white guy? And so I looked up the shooter by name with the image search, and there he was. It was a black guy.
Yeah,
but CBS, I'm telling you, if you didn't know,
wow,
you were tricked by CBS to make you think it was another white nut.
This clip, we play it now?
Yeah, sure, play it.
Long standoff that paralyzed a Philadelphia neighborhood is over after the man accused of wounding 6 police officers and shooting repeatedly at others surrendered overnight. His name, Maurice Hill, 36 years old. He walked out of his home where he had barricaded himself, holding his hands in the air.
Police say Hill opened fire when officers came to the house with a warrant. 2 officers and 3 hostages were trapped inside for about 5 hours until a SWAT team rescued them. CTM national correspondent Jerika Duncan is at the scene in Philadelphia. Jerika, what do we know about the accused gunman?
We know that the accused gunman has a criminal history, an extensive criminal history that includes several gun possession charges. Now, as for those 6 officers that were wounded, they were released from the hospital and are said to be in good spirits this morning. You know, you take a look at the scene behind me right now, police still gathering evidence. It is quiet, it is calm. But hours ago, neighbors here described it as a war zone. Sounds of gunfire terrorized this neighborhood in Philadelphia for hours.
I got an officer shot. Give me SWAT ASAP. Long gun ASAP.
Officers serving a narcotics warrant at a home around 4:30 p.m. yesterday were ambushed by a gunman barricading himself inside.
The shooter fired multiple rounds. Officers returned fire, many of whom had to escape through windows and doors to get from a barrage of bullets.
You know, this broke yesterday, and I was scanning across the channels, and I noticed right off the bat, Fox News was going live regularly. CNN, MSNBC went live in the beginning, and then didn't come back really. And they were running, a special of Anderson Cooper interviewing Don Lemon. I mean, just interviewing each other, whoever the hell it was. And then just they completely ignored it. And I knew right then and there, I turned to my lovely wife. I said, uh-oh, he's not white. This is a problem. Can't report on it. And they don't. And there's no mass shooting, the gun, that's get rid of, none of this.
Well, CBS tried to do this. Gail, who says the guy came with his hands in the air, I think was a prelude to showing the clip of a guy coming out with his hands in the air, was a white guy.
Right.
And then there was the second little gem in there where the announcer woman says he has a criminal history, And then instead of giving us any criminal history, she says many gun possession charges.
Hold on. I didn't finish the clip, so let's listen to the rest of it.
6 officers were shot, including one who was grazed by a bullet in the head.
One of the cops was running past. He had blood all on his head.
Heavily armed police officers, dozens of squad cars, and SWAT teams swarmed the area.
Damn, SWAT, all SWAT.
Police, along with the shooter's lawyer, were trying to communicate with the suspect for hours, urging him to surrender and free hostages.
SWAT was able to successfully extract the 2 police officers that were trapped upstairs, as well as 3 prisoners.
But as darkness began to fall, the siege didn't let up.
I'm still ringing off.
More than 7 hours later, the gunman surrendered with the help of his lawyer, Shaka Johnson.
I've never known him to possess the traits that would have a person shooting at police officers or having a whole community under siege.
Yeah, okay, right. Well, anyway, it's very obvious which way the bias goes. And it's the same. We had a guy try to blow up an ice facility with a propane tank, and he was armed with... Now, do you have a handgun or a military-style assault weapon?
I don't remember, but it was the same, similar situation.
Yeah, and just no reporting. It's so wrong.
Well, I just have to put up with it because there's nothing anyone's going to do about it. They got the marching orders from who, though?
Yeah, well, they're following them, that's for sure. Yeah. Well, amidst all that, I've been poisoned.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do you remember?
What do you mean?
Well, I've been poisoned. Do you remember?
You've been poisoned?
Yes.
How come you're even talking to me? You should be in the hospital.
I should be in the hospital. Do you remember? It was about a week ago, not long after I went wake surfing again with the former New York banker and had severe stomach issues. Well, no one on the show knows that.
No, because you're a trooper.
Yeah. But me and my buddies, we're in big trouble here, specifically in Austin.
Dogs are people, too.
That's right. Me and the dogs.
In the summer heat, nothing more inviting than refreshing lake water. But in Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina, multiple reports from dog owners that their pets died after coming into contact with blue-green algae.
And if we had known...
Claire Scardy had Harper since she was a puppy. She didn't understand why 30 minutes after being in the water, her best friend was dying.
She's struggling to breathe, and so we take her to the emergency vet. 10 minutes after we got there, they told me that your baby's not doing good. We have to give her CPR, and she died shortly after that.
Some dog owners say they believe their dogs died after licking their fur, which had been soaked with the toxin.
Her baby died?
I was waiting for you to respond to that.
I was just going to say, did the dog die? Her baby died too?
The dog is her baby, Jean-Claude.
Oh, I'm sorry. Keep playing. I'm sorry.
10 minutes after we got there, they told me that your baby's not doing good. We have to give her CPR.
Oh, they actually told her baby wasn't doing well.
She died shortly after that.
Some dog owners say they believe their dogs died after licking their fur, which had been soaked with the toxins of that blue-green algae. The problem is more acute in the South in summer because algae blooms in the heat are more common. In some cases, the warnings come in word of mouth.
This lady was like, "Don't put your dogs in the water. They're passing away." I'm like, wait, what?
Veterinarians say they're helpless. Doc, is there an antidote?
I'm so sorry to say, no.
Tonight in the South, a warning. Your dog's dip in a lake might be deadly.
Yeah, so they're warning everywhere in Austin. I think 3 or 4 babies have died. Fur babies, of course. But they never hand out any warning for people. And I looked it up, and yes, blue-green algae can make you sick. It can cause illness, capable of producing several different toxins.
Yeah, tons of toxins. In fact, there's a whole big problem up in Lake Erie. We had a clip a couple of shows ago. If you look up Lake, either Erie, E-R-I-E, or algae, I had a clip that discussed what was going on up there in Canada. In Canada, they got this problem too. And there's the good news and bad news about you and that exposure, since you're not dead.
I'm still here. Wait, you want to hear the Lake Erie bloom?
Yeah, play the bloom.
At this time of the year, the waters of Lake Erie are normally a big draw for boaters and fishers and swimmers and sunseekers, but a stinky green sheen is keeping folks at bay. Yeah, that does not look good. Potentially toxic algae is growing in the western part of the lake, and for the first time, Canadian researchers are teaming up with their counterparts in the U.S. to find out how big and how harmful it is. Artie Pohl takes us there.
Not the pristine blue you typically see on a summer's day. Colchester Harbour in Lake Erie in Ontario is a shade of green, all because of an algae infestation.
I don't think anybody's going to want to swim in that bloom, or they're not going to come out here at all. Fluorescent green, yeah, no.
She says the toxic blooms coating the shoreline impact her bottom line. But the algae isn't just bad for business, it's bad for the environment. It can make fish sick, and if you eat that fish, it can make you sick too.
Woo.
It can also send toxins into the air that can cause breathing problems.
Yeah, I know enough. This is bad. They should issue a health warning for people. Which
I'm going to tell you your good news and bad news.
Okay, good news and bad news.
I don't know if this is true anymore, but I know a few years back there was a fad of taking blue-green algae pills as a health benefit.
All right, that was the InfoWars supply, I guess?
No, it was because it has iodine in it.
Gave you some iodine with that package, yes?
But it was huge. It was hugely popular, and they were actually. And by the way, the Canadian report goes on, and I'll throw this in there, which is all because of climate change. Okay.
Oh yes, no, of course. Well, that's what's going on here.
But I'm thinking. I remember during this little faddish period of blue-green algae being a health dietary supplement sold at GMC and elsewhere. And there was also ads in certain magazines saying, you too can be an overnight millionaire. Grow blue-green algae in ponds in your backyard and harvest it and, turn it into pills.
Turn it into pills.
Turn it into somebody. But I'm wondering how much of this stuff was propagated by this faddish era where blue-green algae was a health dietary supplement, and people were growing it all over the place and making it available, I think, in all these ponds and everywhere else. It's possible that it's a kind of a created problem.
Oh, yeah, that could be terrorism, bioterrorism.
But anyway, blue-green algae. Yeah, they're blaming global warming. In Canada, they're blaming global warming.
Yeah. Oh, I'm surprised Austin has not done the same yet.
Well,
we have had, every day has been 100 plus. It's about 103, 104. I
think it would kill the algae.
No, I guess the algae just thrives on it. I don't know enough about it. Doesn't matter because it is Hatch Chili Month, so everyone's got stomach issues no matter what. It is. Everywhere you go in Austin, Hatch Chili Month.
What's Hatch chili?
Well, Hatch is a type of chili pepper.
I don't know anything about this chili pepper.
No, you should look it up. So you go to the supermarket, they got Hatch chili pepper cheese.
This sounds like a newish fad to me.
Well, it's Austin.
Do you remember this last year?
Yes, I think I do remember it last year.
Do you remember it 2 years ago?
No. They got Hatch chili chicken sausages. You got Hatch chili in the cereal. It's like they produced too much Hatch chili this year. Everything is Hatch chili drinking. It's
Hatch chili at Amazon.
I'm sorry, Hatch chili at Amazon. Sure.
Hatch green chili.
There you go.
It looks like a brand, but it's not a brand.
No, it's a kind of chili.
Well, no, it's a brand.
It is a brand? Well, then
I think it's a brand.
Huh.
Because the other ones, it has a logo and Hatch.
Oh, well, that's possible. Well, anyway, it's Hatch Chili Month.
It's a brand. It's a Hatch brand. It's a branded chili.
Well, damn commercialism.
Chili.
It's like champagne. It has to come from the region of Hatch. I think.
Hatch, Arizona.
Yeah. There you go. So I had a little celebration on Tuesday. I thought it was Wednesday, but I woke up Tuesday morning. Everyone's tweeting, hey, 15th anniversary of Daily Source Code.
Yes. I actually listened to that.
Oh. Here's where you say, gee, that was pretty good.
Well, it was short.
Well, an hour and a half.
Which was a plus.
Hour and 45.
And it was?
Yeah, it was an hour and 45 minutes.
Your DSC was an hour and 45?
Yes, sir.
I'm not in that. I'm not.
See, it's that good that you thought it went by too fast.
I must have just listened to a clip. But the clip was good. The clip was you going on and on about the history of podcasting with some more anecdotes that I hadn't heard before.
Oh, the early days.
You started playing music, and that was the end of it as far as I was concerned. I wasn't interested in the 90s songs that you played.
No, I know. I'm sorry. The Little Nash Rambler wasn't on my playlist. I'm sorry. Work on that. How the hell do I get this car out of second gear? Anyway, yeah, there's one for you.
Yeah, there's a callback.
Yeah. Anyway, it was not 15 years. Can you believe it? How long we've been at this game? You started pretty early at the Pod Show with your Tech 5x5. Wasn't that what it was?
A couple things and a bunch of videos.
Yeah.
Tech Grouch.
There you go. Oh man, I missed that guy. Anyway, let's get into some crazy news we have to deconstruct because
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
You know, I'm tossing Joe DeGenoa overboard. He's just not. He's not delivering. He's not giving me the thousands of sealed indictments. It's not happening. We have a new guy, and I think he has better credentials than our friend
Smoking Joe.
Smoking Joe DeGenoa. Yeah, I think the CEO of Overstock.com, Patrick Byrne, is a CEO of a publicly listed company. The stock price is severely is being suppressed or depressed at the moment. It's down, and that's not just because of whatever's going on globally, but he's involved in the Russian collusion story. And at first, Sarah A. Carter, SarahACarter.com, I subscribe to the feed and I read her stuff, and people send me articles. I'm like, is this really true what she's saying? And so I'm hunting around, and lo and behold, 2 days ago, the CEO of Overstock.com was on Fox Business News to explain exactly what's going on.
Let me give it to you in a nutshell. In a very strange way, by a weird fluke of history, I ended up in the center of the Russian and the Clinton investigations. I have all the answers. I've been sitting on them, waiting for America to get there. Last summer, I figured out I have all the answers to both of those. What they all are, it's all about political espionage. Had nothing to do with law enforcement. I thought I was helping them in some law enforcement. It was all political espionage. Here's the bottom line. There is a deep state, like a submarine, lurking just beneath the waves at periscope depth, watching our shipping lanes, and a nuclear icebreaker named the USS Bill Barr has snuck up on them and is about to ram them amidships. That's about to happen, and I think we're about to see the biggest scandal in American history.
Wow.
As a result. But it was all political. Everything you think you know about Russia and Clinton investigations is a lie. It's all a cover-up. It was all political espionage.
And you think Bill Barr is going to get to the bottom of it?
I think he has gone to the bottom of it. It was, believe it or not, there was political espionage conducted against Hillary Clinton. And I can tell you, two of the names involved were John Brennan and James Comey. But there was political espionage conducted against Hillary Clinton, against Ted Cruz, Mark Rubio, and Donald Trump. And everything you think you know about the Russian collusion investigation is a lie.
Well,
it's all going to be exposed.
Oh, fabulous. Of course, it's all sealed indictments, I'm sure.
Wow.
How good is
I'll give you start the day off right with a clip of the day.
Clip of the day. Sorry.
That's the way to start a show.
Couldn't resist.
With the biggest bull crap out there.
Now, the story goes that he was in a romantic relationship with the Butina guy, the Russian spy, the girl who was...
the girl, the hottie.
Yeah, well, she's not as hot as the first.
She's not as hot as the redhead.
No. But she's the one that was
a cutie pie.
Yeah, she's in jail right now because she didn't register as a foreign agent, which half of DC hasn't done. Yeah, spook. Of course, she's a spook. And so that's how.
What's this guy? Hold on a second. What's this guy's name again?
Patrick Byrne, Byrne. And Overstock, I guess we could look and take a look. It was down because of the CEO being
Nuts. Okay, let me see what this guy. We're gonna look at this guy to see what he looks like. He's like a goofball.
Oh yeah, he's the son of the former Geico CEO, and he's always been a weird dude. Yeah, here we go. August 13th, stock goes from 25, drops down to a low of 1568 yesterday, and it's climbing a little bit today, but it's still at 50. No, I didn't know. It's more actually. It's up. It's up to 18. Stock. What? Well, you mean that's what it should be?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned,
it's an $18 stock at the moment. Anyway, hey, you know what? I like it.
Yeah, Overstock CEO. Here's one classic. Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne touts the benefits of medical cannabis. Yeah, you look at him, you can see that.
Yeah, he's also quite vocal about being a Grateful Dead listening, flag waving, pot smoking American.
God.
Yeah. I didn't even clip that part. I was like, we don't need to know that. We'll see. Well,
yeah, you're right. Probably better than. Although Geneva doesn't have anything else, so he doesn't have got a company to run, so we'll see more of him and less of this guy.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm very excited about this new twist in the saga, and
new twist. Yeah,
and no, even better.
Any minute, all hell's breaking loose for these bastards.
Thousands of sealed indictments.
Yeah.
Now, I did have a chat yesterday with Pachenik, if we just get into indictments, et cetera, because he had emailed me that let's do a show, let's record. So I recorded a show with him. And as in typical Pachenik fashion, he always has something he wants to focus on, and it's usually involves China, in this case India, Pakistan, the Bhutan region, Kashmir.
Yeah, he's got his marching orders.
Yes. But we did talk.
Apparently, you're the only outlet for him.
Well, yes. It seems like all the rest have been burned. InfoWars doesn't reach anymore. I mean, Alex Jones might as well just not exist in the parlance. I guess we're the same, but at least we're still listed in Apple's iTunes.
Yeah, we haven't been kicked off anything.
Shh! Don't talk like that. Don't say these things. So
knock on wood.
So I asked him the typical things, and he said, "Well, that Epstein doesn't matter. He's dead, alive. You'll never hear from him again, of course. And Ghislaine Maxwell, we're never going to hear from her again. She'll be found dead, or I love that all of our intelligence services cannot seem to find Ghislaine Maxwell." Although the Daily Mail...
They found her in Massachusetts.
Well, here's the report. Let's listen to it with a little extra bonus story.
The authorities need to hunt her down, and she needs to face justice. We can exclusively reveal that the British socialite has been laying low inside this $3 million beachfront mansion. The 57-year-old is dating tech CEO Scott Borgerson and living near Boston. An insider tells us she's become a real homebody, rarely ventures out.
Yeah.
But her boyfriend says he doesn't know where she is. She was just named in a civil suit filed against Epstein's estate. Jennifer Arose claims Ghislaine helped Epstein rape her when she was 15. Interesting to point out, the disgraced financier had a bizarre portrait of Bill Clinton in his New York City mansion. Daily Mail TV has exclusively obtained this grainy image of the former president in drag. He's wearing red heels and a blue dress. The painting is a reminder of Monica Lewinsky's infamous blue dress with Clinton's DNA. Epstein's brother Mark will likely inherit the former hedge fund manager's $550 million estate, which includes the private Caribbean island recently raided by the FBI.
So just reading the headlines, you'd think that she's holed up in her boyfriend's house, but no one's seen her. He doesn't know where he is. She's not there. And then this Clinton blue dress thing is the biggest hoax I've seen in a while that people are actually buying into.
Well, the funny thing about this is one of the more elaborate, or more not elaborate, but it's not elaborate at all. But it's one of the more interesting hoaxes because it's very clear. Nobody says that it's a photo. Nobody ever says that. They always say it's an oil painting.
But it is a photo.
I could make an oil painting of Clinton with a doing it with a horse. But
John, here's the thing. I've seen this photo before months ago. I remember seeing going, funny, because it's a poorly photoshopped job of Clinton's head on some woman wearing this dress. It's a Photoshop, and then they pasted it.
I thought it was an oil painting.
No, it's not true. I've seen this picture.
Okay, so it's just Photoshop. Anyway, I could take Clinton's head and put it on anybody's body.
Exactly. But
so what?
But they did it really well with this grainy photo looking in through the doorway into the hallway to the back of the hall, and there's this picture, and they zoom in, make it even more grainy. This is bull crap. This is someone is laughing their ass off.
I don't understand what the point of it is.
It's because this is trolling, man. It's no better or worse than Chris Cuomo with Fredo.
I love the Chris Cuomo Fredo thing.
You want to go there? Or you want to stay with Epstein for a moment?
No, I want to finish this, then we go to Fredo.
All right. So I got a couple other things. So Pachenik, he's like, well, the thing that Trump did, he says, because I'm like, is this draining the swamp? Do we have thousands of sealed indictments ready to pop? And he said, now, what he has done is he has not gone after the espionage and the blackmail and anything else. He's gone purely after the pedophilia. And according to Pachenik, that was a genius move because he has now put fear into the circles of pedophiliacs, as Pachenik calls them. And that will result in people ratting each other out. He feels that the John Huntsman resignation, right after Epstein, right after Epstein died, I think, or whatever, he resigned as ambassador to Russia. And the story is, well, he's going to run, for governor of, I think, Ohio.
Wait, John Huntsman, the guy who ran for president?
Yeah, the guy who
used to, Mormon?
Yeah, the Mormon used to be he used to be the ambassador to China.
And now he's the ambassador to Russia?
Well, not anymore. He was, yeah.
Oh, I got to look this up. I don't know any of this.
This is John Huntsman, as we've played him many times.
他不太了解这个情形。
And 这个情形 is right. So Pachenik thinks that he might have been the chicka ching ching and hapudad taka ching ching, and with Epstein, he is listed, I believe, on the manifest as one of the participants in flying on the Lolita Express. So Pachenik says, I think he had to resign to get ready for anything coming out.
Look up John Huntsman. Oh, never mind. I got it spelled wrong.
How can you misspell Huntsman?
I guess by some psychology, I spell it with a K.
One other name he brought out, and that name is also all of a sudden in the news: Bill Gates.
Yeah, Bill Gates showed up in the stream, in the news stream yesterday.
Yeah. And the story goes back to, I believe, 2015, when a huge cache of child pornography was found somewhere within the Gates compound, and it was immediately blamed on some rogue employee who never went to jail. Nothing happened. We don't even know his name. It's just gone. But Pachenik is very adamant about Gates being compromised. And it's interesting because in all of these different circles, one name keeps popping up. One brand name, and I actually wanted to, let me see if I have this. I found some other information that relates to this, and I'll get to this brand name. The day after the alleged hanging, there was something odd that caught my ear, only coming from ABC. Now, the New York Post, first of all, apparently on 4chan, there was a post about this happening way before the mainstream got it, before it was supposedly even, I don't know. So that's fine.
They keep talking about this.
That's
I don't know.
Fine, whatever. New York Post put something out almost the same time ABC News did, and ABC News really led the story. But across the board, in all of their written articles, including this first report, there was something new. Instead of calling him the billionaire financier, the billionaire hedge fund manager, it became...
Wait, so sources tell ABC News Jeffrey Epstein took his own life. The exact timing and circumstances are unclear right now, but the mega millionaire is accused of exploiting and abusing dozens of minor girls.
The mega millionaire. And it kept coming back, mega millionaire. And no one has said this. And no one has said it since, except for ABC, as far as I can tell. And it didn't take me long to find the mega group. Now, if this was some kind of code, then it would relate to this. The mega group was this group of very wealthy Jewish businessmen, all who, going back to Meyer Lansky was in there, the Bronfman Sr. was in there, Wexner was in there. And then also Maxwell, Ghislaine's dad, Robert Maxwell, was a part of this group, and Epstein became a part of the group when through his association with Wexner of L Brands. And in this group, almost every single one of these people has touched, or in Maxwell's case, directly sold the Promise software, which we've talked about before. This is from Inslaw. This is
the old scandal from years back.
It's a very old story, and actually I put a couple links in the show notes to look at it. There's something called The Last Circle.
And everybody who's ever really looked into it from an investigative perspective is dead.
Dead.
They're
exactly.
all dead.
So I'm like, I don't think I need to dig too deep on this. There's about 6 bodies, but briefly, the story is that a Silicon Valley company, Inslaw, created this system called Promise, Promis, no E. Drop the E for extra savings. And it was able to connect to mainly financial databases and systems, but it really connected to everything and to all databases that were being created and built. We're going back to the 60s now. This is the late 60s that a lot of this work started. And so it eventually wound up getting sold to the U.S. government, but they, instead of just being good users, they copied this apparently with Israeli intelligence, built in a back door, and then engaged Robert Maxwell to sell it to other countries, to intelligence services in other countries, which the original Inslaw company didn't know about until they started getting calls from the French government for support in French, and then they kind of caught on to what was going on.
Yeah, they got ripped off, and they never got paid.
Well, some of them got killed.
And some of them got killed when they looked into it.
But if you look at this Promise software and the story around it, almost all of these people, somehow, right up to Barr, actually, all have been involved with this software in one form or another. But Maxwell apparently was the sales guy. So, this...
And he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. It could have been, used... I mean, once you have someone's financial information, you can really track their finances at the banking level, which is, I think, what this is used for mainly. You really can start to predict things that this person is going to do, not unlike Silicon Valley today. In fact, there's enough circumstantial evidence to think that if not some of the code, but certainly the methodology of Promise has been replicated in Peter Thiel's Palantir software. So there's a lot going on around that, and
let's give people a little more insight.
The final thing is, and this would be the claim, that Bill Gates was compromised very early on in the Microsoft trajectory, probably through a honey pot type scenario. And that the Promise widget or some code has been in Windows for as long as we've been on the planet, apparently. And that wouldn't surprise me.
Well, a couple of things I can at least note. Silicon Valley has a lot of methodologies for, tracking tail numbers of private jets going here and there. And then you find this guy and that guy both landed at Hayward on a certain time, and then the 2 planes left, and you figure, well, this guy owns this company, that guy owns that company. These 2 guys they're not buddies, they're not hanging out. There's a merger coming. There's also a backdoor into some of the restaurant reservation systems that we know of.
Open Table.
And you can say, well, let's see. I can see Hearst has been meeting with so and so, and they're not pals, or it's not like there's some other reason. So maybe there's a merger. Let's look into it. So you can so this sort of thing is very valuable if you're doing a lot of big trading, and you can't get inside. You can't use inside information. This is a way around it. It's a workaround.
Right.
Now, Bill has always been fond of petite blondes, specifically.
Okay. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I don't think it's a big secret. And during the era of Microsoft, before they moved to Redmond, they were in, I think it was Bellevue,
Yeah.
Where Burgermaster is. And I think Burgermaster is going out of business. Anyway, they had this was told to me by the guy who wrote Hard Drive. I think it was the original Bill Gates, the book on Bill Gates, is a reporter for the Seattle Times. And I had a long chat with him for some other circumstance. So we started talking about the book and the stuff that he left out. And so he gave me a number of interesting stories that they wouldn't let him run, or he couldn't run, or he didn't have enough backup for it, or it wasn't,
You mean a Vanity Fair type job?
Yeah, I don't know. Want to put it in that term. Yeah, but it's just the normal. This is the way it works. You don't get everything in that you want, and some stuff gets left out, and then you end up talking about it on the phone with me.
On podcasts.
On podcasts. So you end up finding out about it. So supposedly, now this is all alleged.
Got it.
Microsoft had an account. They were big with hookers in the early days.
Woo!
To the point where they had an account with some. And this is in the era where there was a lot of hookers. And they had an account at, and I would say what this era was is probably, I'm trying to put the years on it.
I'm going to say it's probably early 80s. Bush presidency.
When they were still in Bellevue is all I can say, for sure.
All right.
And they had just an open account, and this is when Microsoft, everyone had their own private offices. Everybody had a private office at Microsoft. And when you visited the campus in the early days, there was nobody. It wasn't one of these open air things where everyone felt like a drone. It was every coder, everyone who works there, wherever you did, you had a private office. You could close the door and lock it, and you could have a bed in there if you wanted to spend the night, because a lot of coders like to do that. They just stay there.
Yeah.
And that was very common in the early days. And so they had an open account with a whorehouse, and it was just go onto the bill. I don't know what the petty cash. I have no idea how they wrote this off, but any coder that was lonely could get some girl to come over, and to keep him at the place coding.
Wow!
And
what a great place to work.
Yeah, but it had to be dynamite. That's why you could take a cut and pay to work there, because there are benefits that are a little more than the free lunch at Google. And I was allegedly, according to the source again, the writer, he says that Bill's Bill Gates's
hooker tally,
his hooker was actually the madam of the place.
Why is there no book about this? The hidden secrets of Silicon Valley and hookers.
In my memoirs.
Nice.
So that's what does that mean? I don't know. I mean, for one thing, the madam's the oldest one, and he preferred, from what I could tell, because he used to date Deborah Weiss, who was a writer for me when I was at InfoWorld, and the two of them were. And I do have a funny story about that, which I'll tell on another show. But he used to date her all the time, and she'd go out with him, and she was a petite blonde.
Huh.
And then Deborah's the one who said, "Yeah, he likes petite blondes."
Well, depending on how petite the blondes were, that may have gotten them into some trouble, which created some kind of something in Windows.
Well, there's
tied
problems.
into promise.
I perceive problems with a lot of these girls that were, generally speaking, some of these, and I'll call them whores, are salespeople. And they try to sell you on what they're offering. And if you're not buying, they sell, I mean, it's like, that was the difference between that reporter and that clip we had in the last show. It says he went over to their place and the butler offered him a free massage and with a happy ending.
Right.
And the guy wasn't going for it. If it was the girl coming out to offer, and she was doing her sales thing, which is some of these women can do, and many of them actually, no offense to the women sales folk out there, but a lot of these girls go into sales and do quite well for themselves because they can sell, which is all it takes. And there's the Zephyr finally, by the way. It's very late. It's moving slow.
If I want to know about trains or hookers, I call John C. Dvorak. That's for sure.
Well, I could go on with these stories, but I'll let it slide. But just the point is, it's possible that something bad happened.
Well, people die around this software and the knowledge of it, and there's in these circles when these things are taking place, all kinds of bad stuff happens. In fact, now. Well, let's just listen to it. This was on an Australian, I think this was the morning show. They had a guest on from the U.S., and he was talking about the Epstein case. And, of course, at le moment suprême.
So have Epstein's secrets died with him now, or are we going to learn a lot more about all those rich, powerful, and famous people that allegedly had girls procured for them by Epstein?
Hopefully, we learn what was going on there. The prosecution is not dead because one of the charges against Jeffrey Epstein was a conspiracy charge. And that's significant because it means that other people were involved. So we know that other people were due to be charged. They just haven't been charged yet. But with the names that you're starting to see thrown around in these things, I mean, former high officials in the Clinton administration, you're talking about names in the royal family, all kinds of names have been thrown around, and we're just scratching the surface of documents that are the surface of the documents that are available now.
So, Michael, is there a chance that we do learn the truth, but it's so outrageous that nobody actually believes it?
I was asked that question a number of times today, and it just remains to be seen what the resolve is of prosecutors. And that, it may not be a prosecutor that finds out the truth. It may be some intrepid reporter, like yourself, who takes it into the bit into their mouth and runs with it, and finds and is determined after years and years to find out what the truth is. But I think that the truth is, at its core, probably something.
Whatever.
Well,
obviously people are onto me. I am through the looking glass. My reputation.
With you, you're on your own.
Yeah, so the minute the guy says, here's the truth, here's what's going on, they pull the satellite plug. Perfect. It just builds and builds and builds. Now, so many cool characters are coming out of the woodwork. Judith Miller. Do you remember Judith Miller?
Who can forget Judith Miller?
Judith Miller
is spook who
took us into Iraq. She basically got us into Iraq, into the war, in part thanks to her reporting on Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, both before and after the 2003 invasion, which later we discovered it was inaccurate information, came from the intelligence community. So she's a spook. And she's not, and I don't understand why anyone would want her on their media property. But I guess when Tucker Carlson's out and you have Mark Stein in, who I like as a commentator, I think he's really poor as a host. He can barely get a sentence out without stammering and stuttering, and it's just, he's no good. But she said something quite remarkable. One of those as in the truth wants to come out.
My point is, this guy is at the preliminary stage.
Right.
All the United States government had to do was keep him alive until the trial. And it's brazen. If you were writing a thriller, you wouldn't put in anything this obvious where he just gets whacked before the trial. It's brazen either in its incompetence or in its cynicism and corruption. And the American people seem to be leaning towards the latter one of those explanations.
I know that people love to embrace conspiracy theories, Mark, but I really think we have to wait until all of the facts are in. And the facts, by the way, are changing a lot. We know some things about...
The facts are changing a lot. Okay. You would know how that works, Judith Miller. The facts are changing. That's not how a reporter does work. Anyway, we all know basically that Trump is to blame for everything.
That's Trump's fault.
Yeah. Hey, and on the Trump rotation, TrumpRotation.com, do we have conspiracy theorists now listed?
I don't know where that fits in.
Oh.
Within hours of Jeffrey Epstein's apparent suicide, President Trump was retweeting a conspiracy theory linking Bill Clinton to his death. It was immediately picked up by Russian state media, going viral. A Clinton spokesperson calling the tweet ridiculous and, of course, not true, but a top Trump advisor defending it.
I think the president just wants everything to be investigated.
For the president, seizing on a conspiracy theory is part of a pattern. He launched his political career with the false birther claim against President Obama.
He may not have been born in this country.
In 2016, there was the bizarre claim that Republican rival Ted Cruz's father had been involved in the Kennedy assassination.
There was a picture of him and crazy Lee Harvey Oswald having breakfast.
And after the election, the false charge that millions in California had voted illegally for Hillary Clinton.
The same person votes many times. You probably heard about that.
Other examples, that Justice Scalia may have been murdered, that vaccines cause autism, or thousands of Muslims celebrated in Jersey City on 9/11. But tying Bill Clinton to Epstein's death reached a new level.
Certainly, to accuse, even by implication, a predecessor of a murder conspiracy puts us in a whole different realm of reality.
Clinton and Trump had both known Epstein, and Trump critics countered by blaming Mr. Trump online for Epstein's death. Marco Rubio chided both sides for spreading conspiracies, but no one did it with as big a megaphone as the president.
So the message went out to all ships at sea. Okay, we got to label this guy as a conspiracy theorist. Now, noted, he definitely sparked that with his retweet of the video, which was a funny joke about the Clinton body count. But NPR got down in the weeds and got some experts in, and let's talk about this conspiracy. How does this work? Yes.
By the way, I will say, I'm looking at the list. I will have to put it on the list as number 56, moving the criminal ones up by one, but I'll put it at the end.
Okay.
Because it's definitely because of this birther and all the rest of it. She did a good rundown there. If you're going to make somebody look like a conspiracy, they can do that to anybody, by the way.
Well,
just take a bunch of discrepant stuff and package it in such a way that you can say it's all one thing. And I'm in. I think it should be on the list.
And they took the same packaging and did it everywhere. But I thought NPR was
they're marching orders.
Yes.
Whether President Trump actually believes the conspiracies he highlights is also debatable. He's often employed conspiracy theories to denigrate his adversaries. Kurt Anderson, who wrote the book Fantasyland: How America Went Haywire, says when a bad thing happens, it's easy to blame it on some secret cabal.
So if you're Donald Trump, my enemies, the Clintons, did this. If you are somebody who believes that Donald Trump is in league with the Russians, then of course you think, oh no, the Russians did this.
But people don't need a partisan motivation to come up with a conspiracy theory. Consider such discredited claims as that vaccines cause autism, that 9/11 was an inside job, that the Sandy Hook school shooting was a hoax.
Yep.
People genuinely believe these things, and that may trouble those who take logic or evidence seriously. Reverend Albert Mohler, president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, felt the need on his podcast to explain why conspiracy theories take hold.
We as human beings do not like unanswered moral questions. We want to know who did it. We want to know how it was done.
All the more so, Mueller said, when an event is associated with some strange coincidences.
We're looking for a pattern. Our intelligence given to us by God is a pattern-seeking intelligence.
And a conspiracy theory can offer a pattern. Joe Uzinski at the University of Miami has studied conspiracy theories. He says people also see conspiracies even when there are no coincidences to explain.
Now, I'm like, okay, they're going to talk about me now, but nah.
It doesn't matter because people can take whatever they want and turn it into whatever they want.
He cites the example of Supreme Court Justice Scalia dying in bed. Some conspiracy thinkers suggested he was smothered simply because there was a pillow by his head.
Wait, wasn't there a pillow on his head? I remembered specifically that the pillow was on his head.
No, shh.
Anyway.
You know, everybody has a pillow near their head when they're sleeping. That's not strong evidence of anything, but to them. That was very strong evidence.
Uzinski says his research suggests that people who ascribe to conspiracy theories are often those who feel they're under threat or out of power or somehow left on the outside. So connecting the
or just podcasters.
Dots may satisfy.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got to play. This is the important part here. Sorry. Let's go back. I love this.
His head.
You know, everybody has a pillow near their head when they're sleeping. That's not strong evidence of anything, but to them, that was very strong evidence.
Uzinski says his research suggests that people who ascribe to conspiracy theories are often those who feel they're under threat or out of power or somehow left on the outside. So connecting the dots may satisfy an emotional or intellectual need. Kurt Anderson says it can also be fun.
Look at this. This person was here at this time, and look, it connects to this. That is part of the pleasure of puzzles, of detective fiction, of thrillers. It is a form of entertainment.
Well, not just the Amazing Polly. Connecting the dots is everywhere. Here's Beto.
Members of the press, what the hold on a second. You know, it's these questions that you know the answers to. I mean, connect the dots about what he's been doing in this country.
Connect the dots.
Here's what I've said.
Connect the dots.
I've said that we need the information. We need to connect the dots, and we got to drill down. We've got to connect the dots. Get the facts. Connect the dots. Do everything that I possibly can to help connect the dots. I've said we've got to connect the dots. I've always said, if we connect the dots, I believe that they should have to connect the dots if we're able to connect the dots. And if we determine the facts, if the dots are connected, let's get to the bottom.
Yeah, connect the dots, Maxine
I
Waters.
need to get on the softball team.
What?
Nothing.
Something, I didn't get that one.
I did.
And it went all the way up to the elite circles of CNN International, Christiane Amanpour.
Now, democracy is under increasing threat from conspiracy theories.
Now, hold on a second. Democracy is under serious threat from conspiracy theories? How? How do we put that together?
Connect the dots, man.
Now, democracy is under increasing threat from conspiracy theories, from fake news, a war of misinformation online. And it's coming right from the top in many occasions. This weekend, President Trump retweeted a conspiracy theory blaming the Clintons for the death of the multimillionaire sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
There you go. It's hurting our democracy.
Well, this democracy under threat is getting on my nerves. But the thing about this conspiracy thing, where I think is an element kind of missing, that it's just this in itself is a conspiracy theory. And you've identified the fact that you have the same talking points from different outlets that are very discrepant, by the way. They're not like ABC, NBC. It's different. Mm-hmm. And you've picked on that. But what would be the real motivation to get people to think, oh, it's just conspiracy theory, oh, deep state, just a conspiracy theory. There's no deep state. And this is all eating away. If you look at the entire Trump rotation, it all eats away at the idea of draining the swamp and clearing the deep state, which is the bureaucratic technocracy that runs the country. Right. It's the people that are always there, and they've created their own government, shadow government for all practical purposes, which runs everything. And then they obviously run the news media too nowadays by telling them what to do and what to say.
Yes.
Which we've proven pretty much by this opening of this particular show, although we prove it week after week.
Yeah, and I would say, there's a pretty good conspiracy theory right now that all these mass shootings, it's all because of Trump. Trump did it. They're using the same words. I mean, it's a manifesto that was uploaded by someone else a different time. But okay, we'll just look past that. It's just all, it's all Trump's. He can actually mind control people. He can mind control people.
The attorney for a U.S. Army veteran charged with assaulting a 13-year-old Montana boy who refused to take off his hat during the national anthem says his client believes he was doing what President Trump wanted. Kurt Brockway's attorney, Lance Jasper, is quoted in the Missoulian saying the president's rhetoric influenced his client, who got into a confrontation with a 13-year-old boy at the start of a county rodeo and slammed the teen into the ground, fracturing the boy's skull. Jasper says he will seek a mental health evaluation for his client.
Yes. So even his lawyer says he's nuts. But no, Trump, man. the president told him to do it. And that's the MSNBC, which I watch mainly during the day. I'll switch back to CNN. Is just so poor.
How can you? I'm surprised you're not completely insane.
Well, maybe it's not the blue algae. Maybe it's MSNBC that's giving me stomach issues. But Donnie Deutsch, you played a clip from his show. He has a Saturday night show now.
Yeah, he's completely out of control.
Oh, I got to play this clip. He's just off the rails.
Enough is enough, and I want to talk to the white people out there, okay?
And pay attention, John. White people.
I want to talk to wealthy white people, because I've had it. I've had discussions when I talk to friends, people I know. He's good for the economy, but he's good for the economy. They're all jerks anyway. No.
Are these his friends?
What kind of friends does he have?
Hey, Donnie, he's good for the economy. Donnie, don't give Trump a hard time. Donnie, it's good for the economy. He's just saying things.
I've had discussions when I talk to...
I think maybe his good friend is Chris Cuomo. Hey, don't call me Fredo.
Friends, people I know. He's good for the economy, but he's good for the economy. They're all jerks anyway. No, it's time. By the way, if you're somebody who's poor and you believe Donald Trump is going to get you a job, maybe you don't have the luxury of a moral imperative, okay? But everybody else, shame on you at this point. Enough. This is where you stand up. And if you don't, you own it. And I talked about this yesterday. You are no different than if you were on a subway train and you saw 4 white nationalists screaming and an African-American woman, go home, go back where you came from. If you vote for Trump, it's like you're going like this.
Just let him rant. It's funny.
And own it. No more he's good for the economy. No more, well, they're all jerks. He just says these things. We are heading to such a dangerous place. And guess what? You look at history, it can happen here.
Do I have to guess?
Yeah, guess. What do you think? What do you think the dangerous place is? Where are we going with this dangerous place?
Let me think. If I have to guess, as he asked me to guess, I really don't know.
No more, well, they're all jerks. He just says these things. We are heading to such a dangerous place. And guess what? You look at history, it can happen here. Maybe it's the Jews next. Oh, I forgot. His daughter's married to a Jew. Who says? And I come from a place, Now,
that's a good conspiracy theory. Kushner's not a Jew. Who says Kushner's a Jew?
Maybe it's the Jews next. Oh, I forgot. His daughter's married to a Jew. Who says? And I come from a place, a group of people where it happened to. 6 million of them. And I'm not saying Trump is that person, but every playbook that's happening, every single playbook, creating the other, getting rich people to look the other way, getting people to not trust the press, getting the judicial system in your pocket, getting an entire branch of government, the legislative branch, the Republicans, to just march with you.
Sounds like Hitler to me!
To act above the law, to say that you're going to put your adversaries in jail. What else do we... And now, hey, you dark person, if you don't like it here, go back from where you came. Right. Boy, it's time for us and time for white people who maybe it's not so great for your pocketbook. Go in and look at your children and decide who you are.
Oh, Donnie.
This guy.
Yeah.
What is wrong with MSNBC?
Everything. Just everything, man. Just everything. You could... I could just sit with MSNBC and clip all day. Here, Joy Reid with this guy. This guy is a real interesting dude. He's a pundit. What is his name? Elie Mystal. He's the black guy with the crazy fro. It's almost white. And the
I have no idea who this is.
Really poorly fitting suit jacket is really not a good look. Oh, he's all about the hate.
I triple dare you to try to beat that. But I mean, the thing is that the question, and I'll throw it all to the cat, how do you communicate that to people who are drugged by it, right? They're already anesthetized by it. Anybody? Throw it
Look, I've had people call on my show in the past who are Trump supporters who are white, who bluntly said, he makes me feel better to be white again. He makes me feel better about myself as a white person.
Yep.
They've literally said that, and they're like, I'm not racist. He makes me feel good about being a white person, and that we are suffering. We are a victim. He speaks the victimhood language. So for them, we look at it as pathetic.
What?
They look at it as a champion.
Well, now, this is really quite interesting.
This is the biggest crock of crap ever. They're making this up.
Victimhood language. So for them, we look at it as pathetic. They look at it as a champion.
You don't communicate it to them. You beat them.
You beat them. They are not a majority of this country. The majority of white people in this country are not a majority of the country. And all the people who are not fooled by this need to come together, go to the polls, go to the protests, do whatever you have to do. You do not negotiate with these people. You destroy them.
And by the way, the black man said beat them, meaning in a poll, in an election.
Figuratively.
Yeah, so don't come for the black man. He said beat them in a poll.
No. So racist. The whole thing from beginning to end is just racist.
Should be, the NBC should be ashamed of itself for putting this stuff on the air. Nobody listens to it.
I do.
Except you.
They have ratings. They have some ratings.
Yeah, the only reason they even have the asterisk is because there's one guy.
That's me. Oh, boy. I did want to...
The asterisk refers to ratings.
Yes,
when you don't have enough to get even a 1.
If you have no ratings, then you can get
you have to have some listeners or viewers to get the asterisk.
You can get 0.1.
Yeah,
that's the
below
lowest.
That's the asterisk.
Yes. Yeah, below that is the asterisk, is what we call it.
That means one guy's watching. It's you.
So there's a little bit of information coming out about all these shooters. And we have no idea what's true or not. You just don't know at this point anymore. But Bill Barr, and I think I played a piece of this 2 shows ago. He's bitching about encryption again. This used to be Comey's job, and then Brennan bitched about it. Now Bill Barr is like,
everybody in the Justice Department says I was first in my first computer oriented radio show, and I remember even before that in the when I was writing for InfoWorld, and that would be in the late 70s, early 80s. This was a topic of conversation, and then the Clipper chip came along.
Oh yeah,
and that was going to close the deal, and that was a flop.
Yeah,
these guys they just do anything they can so they can just listen in on everything.
Yeah, and so the drive is the same. The idea is, hey, it's okay if you want to have end-to-end encryption. It's okay. It's just we got to be able to look into your shit if we want to. That's just the way it goes. So,
then what's the point of the encryption?
Yeah, but we can't have that in a democracy. You can't have that. It's because you have to have law enforcement. This is the problem with Bitcoin. We can't turn off your bank account. There's a problem. We can't have that. So Barr makes an I had only seen the clip, and I went back and watched the whole half-hour speech, and it's filled of, we're all going to die of this encryption if we don't figure this out. I'd hate to have to legislate it. Blah, blah, blah. And this is 2.5 weeks ago.
We think our tech sector has the ingenuity to develop effective ways to provide secure encryption, while also providing secure legal access. Some good minds have already started to focus on this, and some promising ideas are emerging.
Listen to the promising ideas.
Our colleagues at the United Kingdom's GCHQ have proposed virtual alligator clips.
No, virtual alligator clips.
Which allow a provider to respond to a warrant by adding a silent law enforcement recipient to an otherwise secure chat.
Sounds perfectly okay to me.
Ray Ozzie has tabled a proposal for exceptional access keys for locked encrypted phones so that they can be unlocked pursuant to a warrant.
Is Ozzie still with Microsoft? Ray Ozzie?
No, Ozzie's, I don't know what Ozzie's doing. He's the guy who did Lotus Notes, for anyone who doesn't remember that.
Well, believe me, we remember.
I'm replicating. I'll be back in an hour.
Replicating the Lotus Notes database. Yes. Let's see, what is he doing right now? Yeah, it was at Microsoft between 2005 and 2010. And currently he is...
Yeah, once he left, the stock skyrocketed.
Isn't he still the chief software architect? I guess not.
I doubt it.
No. Oh,
he's a bad guy.
He's on the board of directors at HP.
Oh, well, there you go. That's where he belongs.
And he joined the board of Safecast in 2017. What is Safecast?
Some that's probably not safe.
We continue with some of these great ideas.
And Matt Tate has proposed layered cryptographic envelopes to allow lawful access to encrypted data at rest on disks or other storage.
I would say layered encrypted envelopes is the way to go. It just sounds beautiful, Bill.
Layer encrypted
envelopes. Okay. Now, but wait. He's about to make an interesting prognostication.
Encrypted data at rest on disks or other storage devices. I think it is prudent to anticipate that a major incident may well occur at any time that will galvanize public opinion on these issues. Whether we end up with...
So there was a brief moment in time where I think it was the Dayton shooter. They couldn't get into his phone, and they were trying to launch this story, and it just failed. But, I just find it interesting. The guy says, hey, it could happen at any time.
Galvanize public opinion on these issues.
No.
Whether we end...
Huh?
He's full of crap. I don't want to stop the clip.
Yeah.
But I want to say this. This is not about public safety or anything like that. When you really start boiling it down, this is about spying on financial transactions so you can benefit. All of this stuff has always really been about spying on financial transactions. That's what you want to do.
Which is exactly what the Promise software did.
Yeah, and so that way you can make a lot of money by being you're like an insider now. You're just watching the negotiations go on from afar, and then you can make your investment decisions. This is not about protecting the public. Again, if these guys, they got NSA listening in on everything. They've got all this stuff going on. We're being spied upon in a surveillance society. Everybody bitches about it. Started in 1947 with the whole surveillance, the act that Truman pushed into law. And we're all, being spied upon constantly, but they've not prevented one of these things except the ones that they've set up and that were phony, where they suckered some guy into doing something that he shouldn't have done, instead of just telling them not to do things.
You're absolutely right. They're very good at reconstructing things after the fact, which, let's face it, if you get an IRS audit, you do the same. It's like, okay, let's see. Let me figure out how all this fit together, and then you piece it all together. There you go. After the fact, there's enough records and stuff.
Yeah, this is the old hindsight thing. I mean, I can predict stock prices if I go back in time. And so, here's I can find some rationale. Look at the way this chart went. That's why it skyrocketed.
Well,
it's bull crap. It's all bull crap. This is just this is spying for financial gain, blackmail and spying. Blackmail is another good way to make money.
Yeah. As the saying goes in the stock trading business, technical analysis of stocks and stock movements is 100% accurate after the fact. And that's always that way. You talk to a technical guy, he's like, Look, here's where it broke through the 39th Fibonacci, and it was right above the curve, above the noise, and it's, oh my God, the time series hit. No wonder. Didn't you see that? It's so obvious. Yeah, that was yesterday's chart. When it's happening live, it's a little different.
It's like weather predicting. Or climate change, for that matter.
Well, okay, I'm going to skip the rest of this clip and go straight to my one of my climate change clips. This is from the Vermont Eye in the Sky weather report. I thought you'd get a kick out of it.
Good afternoon. From the Fairbanks Museum in St. Johnsbury, this is the Eye in the Sky forecast. A few upper 40s in the cooler spots over the Northeast Kingdom as well as the Adirondacks will be found. Dry conditions and cool temperatures offer some great stargazing weather. Monday brings more pleasant weather with mostly sunny skies and comfortable highs in the 70s. Computer models are not in firm agreement about the timing of a weak cold front that drifts south from Canada sometime between the evening and overnight hours on Monday. This brings a chance of scattered to isolated rain showers, primarily over northern areas. Again, computer models are not in firm agreement about Tuesday as a decaying low-pressure system moves east from the Midwest, and this brings a chance of scattered rain showers.
So their coveted computer models can't even agree on Tuesday. Let alone 10, 15, 20, 50 years. Oh, yeah, computer models. They're great. What could possibly go wrong?
And there you have it in a nutshell.
Well, then I might as well I'm going to do two more. I'm going to do my my final 2 Green New Deal clips, my climate change clips, and then I'm going to relinquish the microphone. BBC is shocked, I tell you.
Now, before we go, you have to see this. Kangaroos are not normally associated with freezing conditions, but as wild weather lashes parts of eastern Australia, they've been getting a chance to hop on snow. This footage shows a large mob of kangaroos bouncing through paddocks around 300 miles inland of Sydney. An icy winter blast is sweeping across the region, catching even the most seasoned locals by surprise.
Yo, snow? What? How can that be? We don't get snow. It's not supposed to snow. Must be extreme weather. The climate models are in disagreement over that. And then our favorite abused child seems to be a theme on this show. And this is truly an abused child who is being abused by adults around the world, and it just continues. This is Greta, and she's about to embark on her trip to New York on a 50-foot sailing racing boat.
Good luck, Greta. With her final goodbye said, it was time for Greta Thunberg to find her sea legs. Waiting just metres from the Plymouth port in the UK was the Malizia 2, ready to take to the high seas and deliver the Swedish teenager to the US. But this will be no pleasure cruise. There are no creature comforts on board the 60-foot yacht, which is built for high-speed racing. No shower, no kitchen, and no toilet. So calls of nature will involve a bucket.
Yeah, go poop in the bucket, Greta.
I think it will be quite an adventure. It will be a very new experience. For me, at least, and of course, I expect it to be challenging sometimes, but also good most of the time.
Thunberg refuses to travel on planes because of the emissions they produce, so flying to New York for the UN Climate Summit was out of the question. That's when the crew of the Malizia 2 stepped in and offered her a lift with a zero carbon footprint. It's been nearly a year since Thunberg started skipping school on Fridays to protest global inaction on the climate crisis. She says she realises sailing the Atlantic rather than flying is not an option open to everyone.
I mean, I am not telling anyone what to do or what not to do. I'm just doing this because I want to do this myself, and I am one of the very, very few people in the world who actually can do this, and then I think I should take that chance to do this. I don't see if anyone else has succeeded. I'm not that special. I can't convince everyone.
In just 12 months, Greta Thunberg has gone from unknown teenager to international environmental leader. She's taking a year off school to travel through the US, Canada, South America and Antarctica. She's not sure yet how she'll get home.
That's the kicker I was waiting for. Are you taking the same boat back, Greta? No, she's not sure.
Walk home.
Yeah, she's not sure yet. She's not sure yet how she's going to get home.
This has got to be galling to people like DiCaprio and all these guys who have their private jets, and they all fly into some little place in the Swiss Alps to have a meeting about climate change.
Yes. Yeah, that's fantastic. Poor Greta.
But she's going to get sick on that. You know, there's the other possibilities, which is a long shot, is that she guts through it and actually makes the thing and actually likes it so much that she becomes a sailor. It's possible.
By the way, the whole thing is sponsored by the United Nations. They don't disclose that, but you take a look at the boat. It's a United Nations sponsored voyage.
Well, they probably have some top talent on there.
Yeah, Greta.
Well, besides her, I bet you they make it a pretty good time if they make it at all.
Yeah. All right, do your Fredo thing. We might as well.
Okay, so Cuomo. Now, by the way, this is funny because everybody followed up finding out that Cuomo had already the Sliwa guy who used to be the
Guardian Angel, Curtis Sliwa.
Yes, he had him on a talk show a number of years back where he called him Fredo, and he didn't get bent out of shape about it or call it an ethnic slur.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that was run on. They ran that clip on. I don't have a copy of it, but they ran the clip on the New York Post, and he's been ridiculed for this from a number of different angles. Because he went nuts. He was either drunk. I can't figure it out. But here's the entire thing. I took out some of the bull crap that they put in on one of the clips. They also took it offline. You can't find this clip anymore.
Did you get it with the raw, or did you get it with all the beeps?
With the what?
With the censored words, or did you get it raw?
Oh no, I don't have anything censored.
Oh, good, cool.
So he's like a very profane guy, and what's really to me, it's like I'm listening to this guy cuss just nonstop like a trucker, and I'm thinking on his show, he's one of the many CNN anchors who talks about, the discourse in this country has become so coarse because of Trump.
Yeah.
And so this coarse discourse because of Trump, and then you listen to this guy, and here he is.
I thought that's who you were.
No, punk-ass bitches from the right call me Fredo. My name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN.
This is my favorite part. All the rest I didn't care about. But I like it's like, my name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN. It's like, who says that? Hey, my name is Adam Curry. I'm a podcaster. You know, who says that? It's like...
Nobody.
I thought that's who you were.
No, punk-ass bitches from the right call me Fredo. My name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN. Fredo is from The Godfather. He was that weak brother. And they use it as an Italian aspersion. Any of you Italian? Are you Italian? It's a fucking insult to your people. It's an insult to your fucking people. It's like the N-word for us. So is that a cool fucking thing?
You're a much more reasonable guy in person than you seem to be on television.
Yeah, but if you want to play, then we'll fucking play. If you've got something you want to say about what I do on television, then say it. But don't call me a fucking insult.
Hey, listen.
What?
I don't want any problems.
Yeah, you're going to have a big fucking problem.
What's the problem?
It's a little different on TV. Don't fucking insult me like that.
I didn't insult you.
You call me Fredo. It's like I call you punk bitch. You like that? You want that to be your nickname?
I didn't call you that.
You called me Fredo. You know my name's not fucking Fredo.
I thought your name was.
You did not think my name was fucking Fredo. Don't be a liar. You want to be a man, stand up like a man.
I'm standing up, man.
You want to be a man, I'm here. Then fucking own it. Then own what you said.
Hey.
Then own what you said.
Listen, man, I don't have a problem with you, man.
You're going to have a fucking problem.
What? What are you going to do about it?
I'll fucking ruin your shit. I'll fucking throw you down these stairs like a fucking punk.
Please do.
Why, so you can fucking sue? So you can fucking sue?
Well, why don't you do it?
Go take a swing. You want to call me Fredo? Take a fucking swing.
I'm not going to swing.
Take a fucking swing. Watch your fucking hands. Watch your fucking hands. Take a swing. No, come on, boy. Come on, boy. So you want to call me shit? Call me shit then.
Hey, listen, man.
I'm right fucking here.
Anything.
I'll fucking wreck your shit. I'll fucking wreck your shit.
Stop.
You didn't know what you were doing when
I thought it was your name. I thought it was your name.
You didn't know, right? You didn't know what you were saying, right?
I thought it was his name.
I'm breaking it up.
Oh, I know guys like this, by the way, in Jersey. There are guys like this who will talk just like that. But, you know, to say that President Trump has been changing the discourse amongst human beings is correct. He's infected Chris Cuomo.
Well, if you look into it, it's the guy who calls him Fredo constantly is Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
And that's what he started when you listen to the very first thing Cuomo says. He says, only punk right-wingers call me that.
But wait a minute. The first time I heard Fredo, I don't listen to Rush Limbaugh, that's what left Twitter Democrats were calling Donald Trump Jr. They were calling him Fredo, the dumb brother. I'm sorry, either Trump Jr. or Eric, maybe.
No, Eric.
Yeah, Eric. They called him Fredo, the dumb brother.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then Limbaugh. I don't know if that was before or after Limbaugh started calling Chris Cuomo Fredo, but that's what he calls him, Fredo Cuomo. And so that got into the lexicon. But now, unfortunately, because of this, although they took it down, and someone will repost it, but it's down mostly. You'll if this guy if he's walking, especially in different parts of Manhattan or any part of New York. If he's walking down the street, a guy across the street is going to shout something.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, Fredo! Woo!
Yeah.
So he's made an ass of himself. I'm surprised that this is.
Well, there's another controversial story about a CNN anchor, Don Lemon.
Yeah, this story looks to be completely fake.
I love the story, though.
Well, the story is hilarious. It's one of the funnier stories. But there's no chance in hell that any of this story is true. It just doesn't make – Lemon's not as – it's Cuomo thing. We have it on tape. The other one is all just accusations.
According to the story, which I got from Fox News, so that, take that into account, Don Lemon was at a Hamptons – I think restaurant or bar, and this is last year, but a civil suit has been filed. So this is not just it is an allegation, but it's an allegation that's been taken into the legal realm. And this guy says that I don't know if he was hitting on Don Lemon, or he said, I'll buy you a drink. Let me buy you a lemon drop. And that's pretty gay. So maybe he was hitting on him. Apparently, Don Lemon then put his hand down the front of his shorts, vigorously rubbed his genitalia, removed his hand, shoved his index and middle fingers into plaintiff's mustache, and said, "What do you like? Close your children's ears. Pussy or dick?" Yeah, it seems like I can see him doing it. Now, I don't think it's worth a civil lawsuit. That's pretty lame.
See him doing it. It's too dumb. I like the story, though. I agree with you about the
story's good.
About the story itself, and the complaint was filed, so you can read it as such. But I'm not buying it.
Well, with that, I would like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the conspiracy theories, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam McCurry. Also in the morning to all the ships at sea, boots on the ground, subs in the water, feet in the air, and all the dames and knights out there.
And a big, hearty, hefty in the morning to the trolls in our troll room. They've been very patient today. Let me see how many we got in the troll room today. It's noagendastream.com. 1,020 people in the chat room listening live. We do it on Thursdays, this being the second Thursday of the week. Sometimes the first is known as Sunday. And it's a great place to go 24 hours a day. Always something cool happening. noagendastream.com. And a big in the morning as well to our artist, Dada, who brought us the artwork for episode 1163 by posting it to noagendaartgenerator.com. We had a number of different... Actually, I recall we were supposed to probably review the art because, people submit. And let me see. We had a lot of egg timers and egg jokes, which didn't really, feel all that funny to us.
Also, they're semi-lewd, rude.
Yeah, unlike the show. And the one that we liked was this one by Data, which showed the inside of a cell block, kind of and there's a lot of layers to it. So some of the bars had been sawed off. So this implies an extraction of Epstein. And then on the wall it says, "For a good time, call Lolita."
That was we thought it was humorous.
Yeah, the sick, but right in line with what we like. So I think this is the first score for Data. Maybe it's the second. I'm not sure, but we truly appreciate the work. And
he's done a number of pieces, and they're all okay. They're all good, but I don't know that he's gotten any in. But so this may be first or second.
I'm sure. No, he got the Spitzenkandidat. I think we used that one.
Yeah, you can't be saying. I don't have to go look that one up. He might have gotten that one.
I think he did get that one. Anyway,
but he got that one because it was just pretty.
Yes. Well, we appreciate the work that all of our artists do, and it is a part of our Value for Value network. It works extremely well. We have websites, systems, clips, artwork, just so many things that are being done by the producers of this show, because that's what you are. You're all producers. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com for our art-making producers, our art-producing producers, and we also like to thank our executive and associate executive producers who help us financially, and we do that more or less in the first tranche of the show. And who do we have to thank today? Yes, it's a tranche. It's a tranche.
Gear in Norway is at the top of the list with $1,000, and I cannot find a note from him. There's no note on the PayPal donation, and there's no note in the documents.
Well, is he then? Is that an Insta night, or is he already a knight? I'm not sure if we.
Well, this is going to have to be answered by an email from him to one of us.
Let me just see if I don't think I've seen any email from him. We do want to give him his props. Oh, wait. Wednesday the 14th. Yes. There's a note here.
Good. You have it. I don't have it.
I do. I didn't realize this. Let's see. It's been a while. I got pissed off at you when I felt you mocked Greenwald and Snowden back in the critical days. What? Did we mock them?
Oh.
Sorry. I didn't know you were going to the bathroom. Anyway, I don't recall us. We mock everybody at some point.
I took the phone off the hook. Somebody rang it.
So he says that he got pissed off at us when he, or maybe just me. No, it's to both of us. He felt that we mocked Glenn Greenwald and Ed Snowden back in the critical days. I think we've been pretty appreciative of the work they did. I have followed No Agenda since San Francisco when Adam had a squirrel living outside his window. Whoa.
It was a pigeon, I thought.
It was a pigeon, but okay. And I'm sure he's right about the mocking, too. Despite differences, I have, of course, followed you during these self-imposed embargo years. Being 100% aligned means something like a religious conviction. I'm not all there. I like your style, however, on how you question truths, adding analysis through thought and reason. Fresh inputs in a news world from an increasingly dumbed-down M5M. So keep up the good work. I need karma, however. At the age of 66, prostate cancer with spread has struck out of the blue with a vengeance. Operation and treatment starting in a couple of days. Karma can't hurt, so if possible, I'd like a karma plus F cancer karma. And his name is Sir Gear. So he becomes...
So he was a knight, and then he gave up on us after our Snowden. I don't know what we said bad about Snowden or Greenwald, but I mean, this could have been something that they did that triggered us.
That's possible.
But, you know, he's in Norway. It's a socialist state up there. They live off the riches of their oil discoveries. They have, I'm surprised we have any Norwegians that listen to the show.
I think we have plenty of Norwegians that listen to the show.
I didn't say we didn't.
No.
What I said was I'm surprised
You're surprised.
We have any that listen to the show.
Well, Sir Gear, thank you very much for your support. I'm going to make you a baronet, whether you like it or not, so I'm putting you on the list. And, of course, we will send out all the karma you need, and let's hope it does its usual trick.
You've got karma.
Hold on a second. I think he had. Did he say something else here? P.S. I forgot to add the appeal for all men to get checked for prostate health. So simple and so damn important. Movember coming up and the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride in late September. Support prostate health awareness. Too much stigma around this, unfortunately. Yes, I understand.
Yeah, especially if you've been tested.
Yeah.
Okay, Anonymous in New York City. Another 1,000. So this has made the show.
Yeah.
There's really not a lot of donations besides these two. Credit the full amount to Sir Felix Wilson for making me smile and brightening my day with his pleas for donations.
Wait a minute. So Felix becomes a knight?
No, he's already a knight. It's Sir Felix.
You mean Chris Wilson's son is a knight already? I don't think so.
Oh, no, then maybe that's what he means. We're making him an instant knight. That must be it.
Holy crap. What a show.
That's fine.
Put that in there. Okay, Felix.
Put him on there. Put him on.
He was Squire Felix. Felix Wilson becomes dude. That's nice.
Like some guy in New York City.
That's fantastic.
That could be any number of people.
Nice. That's very kind.
Matthew Wilberg comes in with $333.33 from Rutherglen, Virginia. A Virginia guy. Celebrating my 40th birthday today with a No Agenda donation, bringing me to the level of knighthood. Is he on the? Yeah, I guess he is.
Yes, he is.
Surely the best podcast in the universe reaches beyond our solar system. So I'd like to be known as Sir Matt of the Zeta Reticuli star system.
Done. If I can remember it.
Is it Zeta Reticuli or Zeta? I think it's Zeta.
I would say Zeta. Yeah.
I think it's Zeta.
Zeta.
Harvey Smith drops down to associate executive producer with 23456. A de-douching, please.
You've been de-douched.
He also needs an F cancer. Keep up the great deconstruction, always superb. And he'd like to hear shape-shifting Jew, any L Sharpton, and then he says, and to cause the F cancer, and then thank you for your courage.
R-E-S-P-I-C-T.
You've got karma.
All right. Thank you, Harvey.
And to our final associate executive producer and also a proof of the random number theory, Andrew Wilson in Melbourne, Australia, donates $200 and says, "Hi, John and Adam. Please, can I get an F cancer karma?"
Jeez.
Yeah, there you go.
It's three,
the magic 3. That's why 3 celebrities die. Karma for my mom, just a random number theory. I mean, people should look into this. For my mom who has just finished that's how you get on a crap table and you get caught in one of these things and you walk away a millionaire. Should never happen to me. Yeah. F cancer karma for my mom who's just finished her chemotherapy and radiotherapy. She's awaiting her test results, and we have our fingers crossed. From Andrew in Melbourne.
You bet, man. Here it
is. You've got karma.
And that concludes our list of associate and executive producers for show 1164.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is good. Thank you to our execs and our associate execs, because, as John said, you made the show for us. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. It is highly appreciated, and we'll see some of you at the round table for your knightings or your peerage upgrades. And remember that these credits are credits you can put on your resume, and they look good. Executive producer of the No Agenda Show. You can say episode 1164, and you're right to do it, because you are. It's just like Hollywood, and if anyone questions it, we'll be happy to vouch for you. Again, thank you. We'll be thanking more people, $50 and above, and you can always support us by going to
Dvorak.org/NA.
Well, I'm pretty sure we know all about how Trump is mind controlling everybody, so go propagate it.
Our formula is this: we go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order! Shut up, slave.
So while on the topic of executive producer and associate executive producer, I've been running through the entire years and years of NCIS, following the various showrunners that come and go.
Yes.
And I was waiting for, and finally it appeared when now the deceased, who died prematurely for some unknown reason, but somewhat semi-famous, Gary Glassberg became the showrunner. And you could tell this, by the way. I think this is a function of the Producers Guild, or one of them. They have these rules about how you present the executive producer and associate executive producers. And generally,
you mean on the credit roll? You mean
on the credit roll at the beginning of the show, not the very beginning, but the beginning when the action starts. Mm-hmm. In other words, they're overlaying the actual show. The executive producer that appears one before the writer. So you have the executive producer then written by. That executive producer is the showrunner.
And explain the showrunner job.
The showrunner is the boss. He's the guy who runs the show. I mean, he's actually the guy who's got an office, and everyone comes to him. He's the guy. He's the showrunner. He runs the place. He is the boss of the show, and so he's involved in every decision, and he is involved in firing, hiring, and picking scripts and everything in between, and writing a lot. So in the early, Gary Glassberg finally shows up. He brought a kind of a note of screwball humor into the show, and he always puts and I noticed that this joke comes up. And to me, it was like, I very rarely watch these things and then laugh out loud at stupid stuff. But I do have this NCIS. He drops in a blonde joke. And I don't know how you can get away with even putting this in the script. If you're not the showrunner, most of the times this kind of stuff will be taken out. Right. But the showrunner is the guy. It's like being the editor of a magazine. You pretty much, you want to put something stupid in there? Yeah, you can do it. So so here's the scene. This woman, they track down this woman. Her boyfriend has been found dead. And so they bring her in for a and she's a kind of a cute but dumb blonde. And so they bring her in and tell her that the boyfriend's dead. And here's how the dialogue goes.
Oh my God, I can't believe he's dead.
What was your relationship with the deceased?
You mean he's deceased too?
I mean,
I don't think you can get away with that anymore.
That is a rough go. I mean, to put that in a show.
That's funny.
Is very funny, and it was done well. It was just straight through.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, back in the day, 2.5 Men, it's on TV Land, although almost unwatchable as they now have 50 commercials per hour on TV Land. They're doing all the make goods for MTV Networks, Viacom.
Yeah.
So they're just jamming it all in there. Oh, those stoners, they won't care. They have commercial pods of 15 spots, but some of the dialogue there is really, I mean, it would be labeled a huge homophobe show if it aired today. And
every time I've listened to it or heard about this show, it's probably the rudest show that's ever been put on television in the modern era.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But especially the gay jokes are just off the hook.
Yeah.
Anyway, yesterday, there was some interesting news that came out. The previously in the shadows 5% voice slowed down whistleblower from the Googles returned to Project Veritas, unmasked himself, showed himself, and brought a dump of documents that we shall discuss after this quick clip where he is reintroduced as the now man bun touting whistleblower from Google.
I felt that our entire election system was going to be compromised forever by this company that told the American public that it was not going to do any evil. This is the best thing that I can do in the situation that I'm currently at. And the thing is that the American public needs to understand what's happening. I'm going to, publish this information so that other people can see the system that Google has built in order to control the entire information landscape. This is something that once people see, it's going to bring, it doesn't matter whether you're left or whether you're right. When you see this, both sides are going to agree that this is wrong. So my message to those that are on the fence is I've released the documents. They can go and they can see everything that Google is doing. And then they can see the scale of it, because I think that there's a lot of engineers that have a hint that things are wrong, but they don't understand the colossal scale that it's at. And so for those people, I say, look at the documents. Like take the pulse of Americans, see what's happening, and come and tell the world, what you already know to be true. And I know that people have been waiting for, this Google Snowden moment where somebody comes out and explains what everybody already knows to be true. And I'm hoping that those that want to do something are going to be compelled to act, and that we together can come together and defend ourselves in the case of litigation. They can stop like one or two of us, but they can't stop all of us coming out and explaining to the American public that this is what's happening, that Google is not who they say they are. You're going to be a hero. It's going to be fine. Clear your conscience. You'll be able to live with that for the rest of your life, that you did the right thing.
Very dramatic. So I looked at every single one of the documents, every single one. And I'll give you my take, and I'd love to hear your take. First of all, yeah, there were. Do
you have any of those documents that you can open?
Yeah, I can open all of them. Why?
Can you open? Because there's one I want to discuss.
Okay.
The one on how to do protests.
Okay. Yeah, I can bring that up. What is that under, though? Do you remember? Is it under censorship?
No, it's under. It's one of the lower folders. I'll have to. Okay, why don't you talk and I'll go over the other machine.
Yeah, go ahead and take a look. Okay. Now, there are a few internal documents, basically private Google groups, where employees are clearly biased about political bias. And, they're saying, send this off to the team. We've got to get rid of this. We've got to stop that. I'm sure that happens everywhere. But I found it really interesting because it really showed how the Google machine operates. And a lot of it operates specifically to not piss off the advertisers. There's a lot of examples of how AdWords screw up, become incredibly biased in the result. It shows up with biased results. There's an interesting example where women were shown only ads for lower paying jobs on a certain AdWord combination. And, it's like, yeah, I understand that if there's a percentage of, here was my favorite example, actually, of algorithmic bias, where and there's even a test which I recognized immediately because I live with someone who has this. I'm married to her. And they show you a whole bunch of mugs and they say, spot the bias. And you look at it, and I saw it immediately, is all of the mugs are right-handed mugs except for one, which has the handle on the left. And that's a bias I understand because my lovely wife, Tina the Keeper, is left-handed. So, and then, I don't know what the percentage is of lefties. Maybe it's 30% of the world. I'm just taking a guess. So the question they're asking, and there's reasonable debate in these documents, should you show 30% left-handed mugs, or should you be fair, so quote-unquote machine learning fairness, and show 50% of each? And they have a number of examples of that. What really surprised me, though, is they do have blacklists, and these blacklists are very up to the minute, up to date. A lot of these documents were from 2018. They were suppressing every single story, which was a lot of good mainstream stories about the Vegas shooting, about the San Bernardino shooting. Now, again, these are documents that are a little bit dated, so I don't know if they do that for every shooting or not. That was not clear. But they did have a very long list, including Milo and just people who are going to be deranked. Now, I rescind my original thinking. It is not just the data, which they also clearly show their news sources, and they rank those news sources. And at the top, you have the New York Times, you have the Washington Post. Much lower down on the rank is news sources such as Fox News. Breitbart has a negative number, like a -5. InfoWars, negative 1.8. But what's cool is they have these things called Dwidlers. And this is where I really focus my attention, TWIDDLER. And the Dwidler is you can add what they call a document, which could also be a URL, and you can instantaneously downrank something. And actually the Dwidler will do the calculation to know where to put it. But you can also trigger it and say, put it on the second page, which, of course, rarely does anyone get to the bottom and go looking for the next page. It's usually as we know from research, it's the first or the second link that people always click on and take that as truth. And I think that there's hundreds of people within Google who could do that. And they show quite clearly that they do downrank things. And surprisingly, I loved seeing how they are tracking Facebook and in particular Twitter. They look for trending, and when something trends, they will take that trend and they will push that to the top of the search autocomplete box. And you also have to take into account that a lot of these searches will also go through another level of algorithmic possible bias and tailor it towards you as an individual. So, yes, Google is giving you biased results in many different areas. The reasons are, A, it is the sources that they use when it comes to news. They are using a majority of more left-leaning news sources with higher ranking than right-leaning news sources, at least according to the documents. Yes, they are messing around with the search results through these Dwidlers. And yes, they do it frequently, and they do it often at just a whim. They also do funny stuff, like when Trump came out with Kofefi, which turns out to mean something in Arabic. They wanted to do an automatic translation to the emoji of the guy shrugging, like, ha, that would be really funny as a search result. So they do little Easter eggs, and they have jokes with it. But when you do that kind of stuff, then you can do then these jokes and other things happen.
If you can do that, you can do anything.
Yeah. So Google,
and the Covfefe thing was ridiculous, but they really love playing with that and screwing with people.
Yes. Yeah. Screwing with people. So yes, I would have to say, surprisingly, it's very easy to introduce biased results within Google as long as you have an access to a Dwiddler. And the Dwiddler is written in C++, so it's probably in the pipeline somehow as a binary. You don't really know what it's doing, although I've read some of the FAQs for how to operate them. But there's tons of these things. There's many of these Dwiddlers, and hundreds of people have access to it. So absolutely, Google cannot be trusted. And I would say mainly when it comes to spur of the moment, the latest breaking news, they flood their homepage with their favorite news sources, and everything else gets drowned out. That may not be their intent, but that's the result of it. Now, is this a Snowden moment? No. I don't see anything any news organization can present to the public as a Snowden moment, but definitely they're biased and the results are biased, and you can't trust them. You need to look at other search engines.
Well, I use mostly Bing, and I don't trust it so much, but Google's horrible. And then they track you. It's really pathetic. I mean, it's just really gone downhill.
What else did you see in the docs?
I got a kick out of their naivete, or kind of their like faux left-leaning, we're liberals document that's the beginner's guide to protesting. The how-to guide, plus what to expect, plus how you can help. And they have apparently a go-to team. They got a tiger team at resist@google.com.
Ooh, tiger
and
team.
So you can go out there and they want you to protest on the left. It's really, everything is about left-leaning protesting. And they just want you to go protest. And then they have the thing that got me was the experts. Now, this experts guide to chanting. There's nothing more sad than when a protest looks like a quiet group of folks hobbling through the streets holding a few rolled up signs. So do the opposite. Be energetic, clap your hands, make noise, chant with the chanting, and participate with enthusiasm. You can smile and enjoy the camaraderie, comrade. But also remember there's a protest, so it isn't the same as hanging out with your friends. And it goes on. But then they had these example chants, which to me was like, these are people that have never really been in that scene. And so I think the whole thing is kind of like cobbled together because they have this. You know, the protest, you've heard this. There's all these different chants. A couple of them, they're what do we want? Justice. When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want? Then you shall shout something. Sure. And then, when do we want it? Now.
Sure.
So they have this one. You've heard this one before. You've heard, hey, hey, ho, ho, blah, 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 blah.
Has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. You've heard this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Here's the way they have it. Oh, hey, hey, oh. That Muslim ban has got to go. Oh, hey, hey, oh.
Is that some code that I'm not interpreting properly?
I think this is them dry labbing.
Or maybe they're trying to copyright it.
Oh, hey, hey, oh.
Dry labbing.
Come on, people.
What is dry labbing? I like it, but what is it?
Oh, dry labbing. Dry labbing is where you, like, if say you're working for the government and you're supposed to test the effluent water, at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And so you just write down the numbers that you got last month, and you don't do anything. You just dry lab it. Dry lab means you just use a pen and pencil, write it in, send that in to the. Whoever
I've never heard that term. It sounds kind of sexual. I like it.
Very famous term.
Well,
the college kids who took chemistry do a lot of dry labbing, which
bet
means you're
they
not
do.
really doing the work. You're just making it up.
That's only at the
that's what
liberal
they're
college.
doing here.
Yeah.
But they do. But the thing is, the orientation is interesting because that Muslim ban has got to go. So it's about the Muslim ban,
right?
And then they have no ban, no wall, no ban, no sanctuary for all. This is a proposed example chant: no ban, no wall, America's for all. No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. From Palestine to Mexico, all the walls have got to go. I mean, come on. This is
you got to have cue cards for that shit, man. You can't remember that when you're out there in the fray.
Well, when you go to one of these things, there's always somebody with a cue card, just as you said, who has the megaphone, and they do the chants, and then you just follow suit.
Now, explain the context of this again, just so we understand where this appeared in the documents.
This showed up under one of the. We have the folder names. I'll tell you, partisanship.
Yeah.
This showed up in the partisanship folder. And it's called The Beginner's Guide to Protesting, and it's a resist at google.com. It's a document that Google
for the
passes out to their employees.
The internal resistors. I got you.
So you can go out there and protest and ask for open borders. I mean, what is wrong with Google?
Well, it looks to me like Google wants lots of programmers to come in.
Well, or free cheap labor from Mexico.
Yeah.
Whatever the case, I found it abhorrent, and I also found it was somewhat annoying that they have the "hey, oh, hey."
I can tell you didn't like
chant, which means that these people don't know what they're talking about. I know more than that.
Well, the No Agenda Show has a position and always takes a stand and gives you a recommendation when it comes to biased search results from Google.
I say, Bing it! Bing it good! I said, Bing it! Bing it good!
Yeah, that's right, everybody. Bing it!
Yeah, I'd say Bing it, too. I'd say I use Bing 90% of the time. And Bing images all the time. It's really dynamite.
Yeah, I like Quant.
Yeah, I'm warming up to it.
Oh, you've been trying it? Trying the Quant? Yeah. That's pretty good.
I still use Search X every so often.
Yeah, but
I use SearchX because I have SearchX set up so it doesn't talk to Bing or Google or anything.
Right. In fact, it purposely eliminates them. Yeah.
So you can turn all those off, and so the only thing it searches is like academic search engines and all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah. And so when you're looking for something very obscure,
that's the way to go.
You might find it with SearchX if you turn off all the normal searches.
So it's SEARX dot.
Yeah.
Is it .io? I want to say.
No, it's .something. You just get it.
SearX. I think it's SearX.io. Let me just check. No, is it search? I don't know.
Could be .com.
I don't think. No, we need to know this.
Well, you're digging around.
SearX.com? No, maybe I'm saying it wrong now. Maybe it was search.
SEARX.
SEAR. Yeah, that's what I have. You sure that's how you spell it?
I'm pretty sure. Let me look.
Oh, .me, I think. SearX.me. Yeah, there you go. SEARX.me.
Yeah,
that's SEARX.me. Yeah, you can. I mean, the thing to do is to install this on a machine at home, because whoever's running the version that you're connecting to can definitely see what you're doing. And by default, it does spit it out to a log file. So I don't quite like that very much. I'm sure that, because I don't know who has. At least I know Microsoft,
NSA, CIA.
Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth.
FDA.
Yeah. Anyway. Now, will this get? And this was finally traction worthy. I think of all the things Project Veritas has done, all undercover videos are shit. They always give the illusion of deceptive editing because it does jump around. The audio is crap, so you can't really, Rush Limbaugh can't use them. They don't propagate. They don't go anywhere. And these documents, at least, they can get around. People can extrapolate stuff from them. But for sure, you need to be looking at different search engines. So I think we would recommend Bing for your quick down and dirties. And I think you're particularly enamored by the image search on the Bing, which is not very good on SearX.me. But SearX.me is very customizable, and I agree. Take out all the others, all the mainstream search engines, and you're left over with some interesting choices and results. And then Quant, I don't know. Quant seems pretty straightforward. I've been getting good results from Quant. So I like that a lot. I like those a lot.
Well, anything but these guys, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and and it's like there's not even a need anymore for things like the Promise software, really. I mean, yeah, for corporate espionage, but even that, you just go to Google. I mean, there's documents in that archive that talk about issues with scanning people's Gmail from 4 years ago. It's like, yeah, we're not getting the right results out of the Gmail scans. Like, they're just looking at your email, and the sad thing is most young people today go, yeah, whatever. They know everything. They're listening anyway. They know everything anyway. It's not the way to go, people. It is not the way to go. But okay.
All right. So we talked about algae a little earlier. I got a retro clip. I haven't been running too many of these. But I want to remind people of this 10 years ago when we talked about blue-green algae. There I don't know what happened to this, but this seemed to have gone by the wayside, even though it apparently was a quote-unquote promising technology. Mm-hmm. You remember this?
Well, let's listen to the clip.
But what we're doing here with the Volt at General Motors, with the new battery storage, the hybrids, we drove in a car the other day, Congressman Inslee and Israel and I went from California to Washington, D.C. on algae. You know how you grow the algae? You pump a bunch of CO2 in it, and it grows the algae. So here you have an opportunity to make cars that run on algae, grow the algae in places like Ohio that unfortunately, or maybe fortunately at some point, give off all this CO2, grow the algae, put it in cars, and we have a clean economy.
Wow. I had forgotten all about that. I see.
Yeah. What happened? Hey, hello. What happened?
I see another old algae clip here. Let me see what this is.
Hey, we should invest in algae. Is there any company we can invest in that makes algae?
No, there's nothing. I don't know what he's talking about, to be honest about it.
I've read that algae.
I don't know of any algae engines.
Yes, yeah. Sure there is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, dude.
It's an old No Agenda clip, apparently. Dude. So where did the algae engines go? How come Elon Musk is not making this?
I think the whole thing was a scam.
But they drove all the way across the country.
Yeah, with Inslee, by the way.
Yeah.
Who's running for president now under the green, he's a Green New Deal guy.
Yeah.
Global warming, that's the number one thing to be concerned about. So what happened to the algae? I don't know.
Hey, I don't have a clip or anything, but I'm sure you and Horowitz have talked about Beyond Meat because they had a pretty interesting IPO, and they, I think, very successful with their public offering, correct?
Yeah.
What I did not know is that Kleiner Perkins and Al Gore's sustainability fund are massive investors in the Beyond Meat company.
Well, it looks like they got out with a profit.
Yeah, but the timing of it, they made their investments and had that timed very interestingly with the IPCC report, which very clearly spelled out that we need to rethink how we use our agriculture and we should be going meatless.
Yeah.
And, so it was like they invest, you get the IPCC report, and then the Beyond Meat goes public. I think that's investigation worthy.
Let's say that Gore knew about this report before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
What's to investigate? This is like this is similar to the reason that they allow congressmen to invest on bills and stuff that are enacted. It's not true insider information.
Well,
insider information is technically when you know something a company is about to do.
Well, he knew they were. The way I would see it is this. And, okay, there's no reason to investigate. I'm just connecting the dots, man. Leave me alone. Connecting the dots, man. Al Gore is just no good.
Al Gore's been pretty savvy as an investor.
He's very savvy as an investor. He's also apparently humps chambermaids like a horny poodle, but we don't talk about that anymore.
I wonder what happened to that story and Al Gore was somehow involved in the Epstein thing, and they kept his name out of it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
You
got anything on Hong Kong, because that's heating up?
I do. I have one of the latest. This is a Hong Kong report from Canada, and it is called something on. Well, where is it?
I don't know. I'm looking for it. Oh, China trade dispute, perhaps?
I don't believe so, but let's play it.
Global markets heaved a giant sigh of relief today. Indeed, the entire global economy has spent the summer increasingly on edge as the world's two biggest superpowers square off.
This feels like we were eyeball to eyeball with China, and the president just blinked.
Trump says he's really just standing up for American consumers.
We're doing this for Christmas season, just in case some of the tariffs would have an impact on U.S. customers.
If nothing else, backing down feeds into a narrative that the U.S. is an unreliable negotiator. Trump's tendency to shoot from the hip makes the U.S. sometimes seem erratic.
I think China has had a very steady position. It's uncertain what the U.S. position was. There's so much bluster, so much bluff.
China is the opposite. No bluff, no bluster. In Beijing, there's a perception that the U.S. is a threat to the global economy. If the U.S. insists on escalating the trade dispute, this government official says, China will have to take countermeasures.
Yeah, and then we just step up all the pressure in Hong Kong. We got people waving American flags. It's so obvious that we're all over this thing, and it's kind of well done.
Well, I don't think we're as responsible, and the American flags may be a plant, and one of them is done by some nutcase.
Well, we also had people from the embassy handing out cookies, just like Victoria Noodleman at the Maidan in Ukraine.
That's always a good thing. It's a ghost clip because I don't know where it is, but the point is that they're taking they've done some new stuff. The Chinese government has planted people into the protesters, and which they get caught somehow because I think most of them speak Mandarin. They can't get their Cantonese is no good, so they get isolated and beat up. And they also decided to go after the airport, which they have cleared since, but the airport has been a good target because it stopped all international flights, irked the bankers,
everybody, irked a lot of people,
irked everybody, and then there's just been it has not stopped.
No, it's ongoing, and I think they actually have gone back into the airport and out again, and there's pretty credible reports of troop buildup in Shenzhen.
By the way, just as a travel tip.
Yes.
Even though apparently you might get beat up if you're white, but if you can get into Hong Kong, you can get rooms at the Ritz, one of the better in Hong Kong, and I'm sure that the Mandarin would also be available for like less than $70 a night.
What?
You can get cheap living right now. If you can get to Hong Kong,
wow, you
will get into some of the most luxurious of hotels, and by the way, there's very few better than the ones in Hong Kong. Very cheap. So if anyone wants to take a quick trip,
I mean that's almost. How big are the rooms? Are they really small? I mean, $70 a night.
No, I think they're empty, and they're just giving rooms away.
Huh? So it's like $2,100 a month.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
That's good. We could go live there for a while. Hey, you and me, John. What do you say?
Let's go.
One other thing I learned this week, and this relates directly to the unhoused. I learned, I started a little side hustle with Mo. We're doing a show called Mo Facts, and which is really, it's more his show, I would say, and Mo Facts with Adam Curry. So I sit back and relax. He does the work. But I learned that the Trump tax cuts may be responsible for an increase in unhoused in the country. And let me explain how it works. I didn't know anything about this. Part of the deal with the Trump tax cuts is you could bring your money back into the United States, and in order not to be susceptible to taxes, you could put them into an Opportunity Zone fund. And the Opportunity Zone fund is intended to invest money directly into areas that have lower median wage, more poverty, Section 8 housing, etc. And the way they did it is what's interesting, is they said to the states, okay, you create your zones, your opportunity zones, and then so it's really up to you. And the way it works for the investor is you put your money into the opportunity zone fund, and it's only capital gains, by the way, capital gains. So you're not taxing the capital gains. You put it into the fund. After 10 years, you can take it out without any tax hit, which for real estate investors, guys like Trump, is a very good deal. The problem is you leave it up to these states, and it goes down to the municipalities and the cities. And I looked it up. Austin alone has over 800 opportunity zones. We're in one. We bought a house in an opportunity zone. And what appears to be happening is once you can figure out what fund is connected to your zone, and they range from $7,000 to several $100 million, that's going to get gentrified. And depending on how you use it and what rules you put around these funds and what they have to do in Austin, as an example, if they're going to do something with a fund in an apartment complex, they have to spend a minimum of $6,000 per unit. Well, at that point, they're probably just tearing the shit down and building up newer, nicer apartments, which only the overpaid, low-tech millennial workers can afford, who are now moving into Austin for, to fill up the 5,000 person building that Google just put in there. So, in a way, it appears that the Trump tax cuts are actually gentrifying neighborhoods all across the country and pushing people into tents.
Well, it's obviously based on that. It's contributory, but gentrification is not like a new phenomenon that came about just because of Trump.
No, absolutely not. But it might have certainly accelerated a lot of things.
Well, I have to only look at the homeless population and its causations in California, where, like you, second, third tier homeless groups, which don't even qualify as genuine. We have almost half of the homeless population in the entire country.
Well-deserved.
Is in California.
Yeah.
And I would attribute it mostly to the Democrat management.
Yes, and the decisions they make. I completely agree. The most recent council meeting of Austin, they agreed to for the homelessness problem is to create a corporation that will then raise money to put into programs, and that will be a 501c3. It'll be separate from the government. They're actually going to be competing with other programs out there, which is kind of unfair competition. And they really just kick the can down the road. Okay, now go raise money. Go get some. They're not going to use community money. No, you go raise some money from people, and then you can go and set up programs. They're not even putting money against it. It's unbelievable. Although I did get a nice note. A couple of producers connected me to the CEO of the Community First Village, the mobile loaves and fishes we talked about, where they have the tiny homes, and so he's enthusiastically reached out to me. And I'm going to go over there and tour it and see how it works. Because something there is working.
Oh, okay. Go check that out.
Yeah.
Record a clip.
I was thinking about it. I mean, if I'll bring something along to record, just in case.
A Zoom.
I don't want to. I have a Zoom. I don't want to interview the guy. I mean,
just say, if he says something interesting, say, "Can you put this on? Can you give me? Can you say that
say that again, man? Can you say that again? I'll count you down. 3, 2, 1, go."
I've done that.
Yes, I'm sure.
Nobody objects to it. No. Everybody's media savvy.
Yes.
And this particular guy's obviously looking for media.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't think twice about pulling that out.
He's looking to. They're doing a capital raise. That's what he's looking for. They're going to expand.
Oh, he just wants your money. Never mind.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. No Agenda in the morning.
Couple of things, some housekeeping first. Of course, I immediately moved the paper, and now I can't find it.
Okay. Was there something?
Oh, here it is. Here it is. This is a make good we got to do.
Okay.
It's Rudolph Vesely. In the morning, I'm assuming my emails don't go through since I haven't received any replies. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. I sent a donation of $353.33 last week, and John read on Thursday the first half of my message. The second half wasn't read, which is okay, except that I didn't get jobs karma. I requested a correction on Saturday, but I'm mailing you both, but I didn't hear on the Sunday show. So here he is. We can give this is Rudolph's jobs karma.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And we do these because if we don't have a problem with this.
No, it's important.
People
have strong belief in jobs karma, and there's ample evidence to show that it works. So, yeah, I get it.
I got another note from Amando, whose main comment says, please give a big thanks to April on YouTube for uploading No Agenda episodes every week.
Oh, yes. Thank you, April. Nice.
He says, I had 10 gorditas today. He's got a P.S. I had 10 gorditas today. Have you had Mexican gorditas? Of course. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. I will be researching a way to send some fresh gorditos out to you and Adam. Thank you for your courage.
Hey,
this must be awfully good.
I just got a note from Agent Orange. You know, our intelligence guy.
Yeah.
Just spoke to New York City Assistant Deputy Attorney, who he's worked with before on a different project. He says Epstein was choked. So, okay. You heard it here first. Trump will be retweeting it soon.
Choked.
Choked. Choked. All right.
He's murdered. Let's face it.
Let's thank some people here, John. People
let's
who
start
are producing
with Sir
this
Wayne
show.
Larcombe in Brisbane, Australia, $133.33, which may actually be enough money to get him into the executive producer or associate executive producer rank. We had to do a calculation. I'm going to read his note. I drive long distances for work and while away the hours listening to the best podcast in the universe. This week I was booked into a room C33, so I knew it was time to deal with the shame of my temporary douchebaggery.
Oh no!
By donating. Love your work, gents. Sir Wayne.
No, he doesn't quite make it with the 133.
Oh, too bad. You could add a few pennies. Yeah. I guess he has to be in the $200 range. Never mind.
Yeah, it does.
Albert Aversa. $111.64.
He said he got 13.33 gallons of gas for $33.31 and took the hint.
Yes, of course, you had to take the hint.
And interestingly,
you get into big trouble with the universe if you don't take the hint.
And he says, I'm way past knighthood, but haven't connected with Eric the Shill. Well, you should do that, man. Let's get this going. Pick your name. Send it off. Let's do this.
And you connect with him for the ring. You don't have to connect with him for the knighthood details.
You just have to let us know.
Yeah, just send a note in. Yeah. John Patrick in Decatur, Illinois, $100. Thank you for my continued mental sanity, he writes. Theodore Hart, $100. Sir #Null, $100. And Sir Dragonheart, $100. Those were from actually the Atlanta meetup. Andrew Prouse, $80.
Yeah, this is confusing.
Uh-oh.
He says, well, I'm not sure what he's saying here. I read this earlier. This top-up will get me to knight status for my birthday in December, along with my monthly donations. So I think what he's saying is he's topping up, and then with his regular monthly donations, he'll be a knight in December. Yeah. If we're wrong, let us know, and otherwise...
Send us a note when you get there.
Yeah, otherwise, see you then.
Brandon Foster, 75. Arthur Saint in Olympia, Washington, 60. He's got a happy birthday coming up for someone. Andy Kluber, Sir Andy in Terre Haute, Indiana, 60. Christopher Dechter, 5678. Daniel Nussbaumer. That's what it says. 55 pennies in the UK.
Yeah.
Baron Bob of High Point in double nickels on the dime. Health karma he got, it said worked for him.
Oh, good.
Chris Worth in Aurora, Colorado, 5280 in the morning. Robert V. Stotts in San Diego, $51.51. Matthew Smith, $51. Kendall Keeling, Casper, Wyoming, $51. Does this got a douchebag thing going on? Or no, it's not.
No.
Baronet Sir Economic Hitman in Houston, Texas, $50.01. Now, the following people on this list are $50 donors, name and location where applicable. Starting with Keith Yarborough in Austin, Michael Burlett in Odessa, Florida, Colin Preston in Oregon City, Oregon. And he loved my essay. Thank you. Chris Slewinski in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Kevin Silverman in Severn, Maryland. Robert Kerbach in Essexville, Michigan. Amando Martinez Ramirez in Mexico. Thank you. Mark Johnson in Aurora, California. Brandon Savoy in Port Orchard, Washington. I think he's at night.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Weber in Lake Forest, California. Dame Patricia Worthington in Miami, Florida, a regular. John Holler in Missoula, Montana. And last but not least, Sir Kyle Meyer in Atlanta. I want to thank these folks for helping us get show 1164 off the ground and running.
And thank you to everyone who came in under $50. That is typically for reasons of anonymity, but we do have our ongoing programs. You can support us monthly, weekly, by show even. There's many different ways to do it, and for that you go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
And thank you again to our executive producers and associate executive producers. This is how it works, value for value. We don't take any corporate money. Well, we were going to remember how to say this. There's something inherently, dishonest about taking money from corporations and advertisers because it always will...
Passively corrupt.
Passively corrupt. Thank you. That's the term. We stole that from Jen Briney because we liked it.
Yeah.
It will passively corrupt you if you're a broadcaster or a podcaster. And this way, the only people we can adhere to is the people who produce the show. That's why you're producers. So thank you very much. And as promised here, a couple karmas.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Halfway through the month of August, it's the 15th of August, 2019. Quickie list today, Arthur Saint celebrates, and Matthew Wilbur turns 40 years old today. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
Title changes, turn and face the slaves. Title changes. Don't want to be a douchebag.
And one change today, whether he wanted it or not, Sir Gear becomes a baronet thanks to another Insta-Baronet donation of $1,000. Thank you so much. It is incredibly appreciated.
No agenda meetup.
Yes, the meetups continue and people are liking them. I've got a report from Chicago. John and Adam, I'm writing this up after listening to Sunday's show. The Chicago Meetup After Action Report. The Chicago meetup on Saturday went great. We had 15 to 20 folks show up. Everyone was extremely friendly and eager to discuss the news of the day, the Epstein death. And No Agenda Thinking was on display with some great theories, some of which you mentioned on Sunday. We had a diverse group of folks ranging from 20-somethings to 70-somethings. Lots of dudes named Ben, but we also had a sales guy, a crane operator, and a harp maker. I love our producers. We also had a very brave young man wearing a rainbow MAGA hat in the city of Chicago. Bottom line, that reminds me of, remember Kentucky Fried Movie?
Yeah.
Remember the Daredevil?
Vaguely.
Yeah, well, you should go look it up. I can't even say it, what they said on that. Bottom line was the meetup was a great opportunity to meet like-minded folks who would otherwise not have the chance to get together, to grab a drink, get to know one another, discuss issues in person that you really wouldn't be able to. We'd love to have more people at the next Chicago meetup, which we'll try to schedule on a Friday evening. I know, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, you want us to come, and the Keeper and I do want to come to one of these.
Chicago meetup, I was looking at some of our numbers, and if it comes to like responses to the mailing list, the number one place that we have listeners that, insofar as the mailing list is concerned, is Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, number 5, Seattle, and in between is a bunch. It's like Georgia. Georgia is a place, mostly Georgia. It's like we got to rethink of where we go to these meetups.
Well, probably as we speak, a meetup is taking place in Southeast London. It's their regular rotation. Also, Dearborn, Michigan, on the 17th. So that's Saturday. San Antonio, Texas, which is Fridays I could probably do. Saturdays are tough. The 18th, Victoria, BC. August 22nd, Charleston, South Carolina, and one in Toronto. The 23rd in Salem, Oregon. August 25th is Lincoln, Nebraska. Then we have, August 29th, John. You're going to want to be there. This is a brand new entry on the meetup list. There's going to be a meetup at Burning Man.
Yeah.
I think you need to go.
That's a meetup.
You got to go represent. Can't wait to get the report from that. Send pictures.
This will be the first and probably only naked meetup.
Yeah, I can't wait. Send pictures, as we say. Finishing out the month of August, as we have Busan, South Korea, and Sao Paulo both occurring on the 31st, and back up to Seattle on September 5th, Calgary, Alberta, and Nelson, British Columbia on September 6th, and the 14th is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So the meetups are cranking. If you want to find out more about a meetup, go to noagendameetups.com. If you don't find one near you, then schedule one. I think they even have the PDFs of our heads by now to print out and put on a stick. It will complement your No Agenda experience. Talk and imagine that. What club can you go to that will have a range of people in their 20s to their 70s, and you can talk with all of them? Tell me what club that is. None. Can you think of any example, John?
Well, even in some of the more elaborate clubs, they have different, you don't have quite the same politics necessarily of neutrality.
Right.
I can't think of, maybe. I mean, I think the Democratic National Committee, those guys, that's a club. They all talk amongst themselves. They all agree on everything. Trump bad.
Yes. Orange man bad. Hey,
Orange man bad.
Get your blade. Get your blade. We got two on deck. There you go. Blade's there. All right. Hey, Squire Felix Wilson, hop on up the podium. And Matthew Wilbert, join us as well, please. Gentlemen, both of you today enter that exclusive club, the Club of Knights and of Dames, thanks to the support of $1,000 per person, and it is highly appreciated. I'm therefore very proud to pronounceate you, Sir Matt of Zeta Reticuli Star System, and Sir Felix Wilson. Both of you are now Knights of the No Agenda Round Table. For you, we've got, even for Felix, Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay. We got single malt scotch. We got Hemya Brent. We got beer and blunts. We got geishas and sake, Brazilian hotties and cachaça, sparkling cider and escorts, and of course, mutton and meat. Both of you now can go to noagendanation.com/rings. Eric the Shill will take care of it for you by getting your information and sending it off to you in due time. And thank you. And thank everybody who is also supporting other people in their ascension to peerage. No Agenda Roundtable. And you can support us at dvorak.org/NA.
Okay. I have a clip that I think is suppressed news.
Just one?
Well, I'm one that's a biggie. And I don't think tell me you've heard this. They've cured Ebola.
Yeah, I actually have it on the list for today. But I don't have a clip.
That's outside a treatment center in Goma where people cheered and sang songs as a mother and child walked out, both apparently cured of the deadly hemorrhagic fever. They were treated with new anti-Ebola drugs that show survival rates as high as 90% in a clinical trial. Christine Birak now on whether this will be a turning point in the outbreak.
You don't often hear the word cure, but it's being used to describe two experimental Ebola drugs. Both are now being offered to patients infected with the deadly virus.
There's no doubt that this is a major advance. This is something we've never had before.
A study found when patients were treated within 3 days of being infected, 94% of those given the Regeneron drug survived, as did 89% of patients taking monoclonal antibody 114. Results so impressive, the trial was stopped. 2 other less effective drugs were dropped, including ZMapp, which was largely developed by Canadian scientists.
all these other treatment, Regeneron, RD114, and everything else that is coming up because ZMapp was a trailblazer.
So what makes these new drugs better? Both require only a single dose. Neither needs to be stored frozen like the older drugs did, making them easier to transport in hot temperatures. Where they differ is in how they fight the virus. Monoclonal antibody 114 uses a single antibody taken from the blood of an Ebola survivor. Regeneron's drug attacks the deadly virus using 3 antibodies. Each can bind to different sites on the virus, increasing the chances of blocking off a mutated Ebola virus.
For the first time, we have something that we can use to directly fight against the virus. And so for me, that's incredibly, it gives me an incredible amount of hope.
The current Ebola outbreak in Congo is the second largest in history, killing at least 1,800 people and infecting about 2,800. Doctors say controlling the spread of the disease has been hampered by militia violence and local resistance to outside help.
Ebola. Yeah, what's interesting is the stock price has barely moved on this thing. I don't understand, and maybe that's because it is suppressed news. But they're a public company.
Regeneron?
Yeah, REGN is their, let's see what they're doing today. Stock price, REGN. That's because, I'm like looking at this stuff. Okay. Well, that's a pretty pricey stock. This is $293.
Yeah, those don't move.
But they're high.
It's already been factored in.
Let me see. Well, no, if you look at the year to date, they drop like a rock in April, and the trend is still down. So I don't understand if they cured Ebola. Why is their stock being suppressed? I mean, why is it?
It's not like it's not the same as a erection dysfunction drug where you can sell billions of pills. These are a few shots to 1,800 people who got the disease.
That's a good point.
There's more money in the vaccine where you need to get. If you heard from the other clip from that Canadian company, the guy says, we need to make more than 300,000 of these. Of course, this Regeneron killed their business.
Yeah, ZMapp is, because ZMapp was the vaccine, and this is not a vaccine. This is a cure. I mean,
it's a cure. It's like
you still got to get it first, and you still could be one of the 6% that doesn't get cured. But okay.
Well, promoting vaccines is tough in Africa and South Asia, for that matter, thanks to the CIA's program that's been discussed on some alternative news sites, and nobody talks about it in the United States anymore, where the CIA went all over the Middle East and elsewhere with these vaccines. You got to vaccinate you for this and that, and it wasn't a vaccination at all. It was just to get your DNA so they could figure out where Bin Laden was.
That was a great
suppressed story, but it's a fact, and it's caused nothing but trouble ever since. People they don't trust the outbreak. They blame the outbreak of polio in Pakistan on the CIA program that when they were looking for Bin Laden, and they weren't vaccinating anybody.
You should hear what they say about Bill Gates in Africa. Not so happy about him either.
So you have these issues going on. It's like but meanwhile, this story I thought was suppressed. I didn't hear about this on even Democracy Now.
What?
I didn't hear it on Democracy Now.
That's probably because they figured, hey, we can send the troops in pretty quick with this bogative claim of everyone dying of Ebola, and now these guys are going to go and ruin it? No, come on.
Well, somebody ruined it, that's for sure.
Now, we've always been looking for...
by the way, before you go off this topic, I do want to say the way they came up with this cure I find it suspicious, because to put it in a weird way, I'm not unconvinced that Ebola wasn't developed in Fort Detrick.
Oh yeah, no, you've always been on that tip. You've always been on that tip. Okay, a couple things about SSRIs, antidepressants, brain-altering drugs for people who have depression. I'm not necessarily talking about clinical depression, but the kind of depression that everyone gets prescribed these drugs for, certainly in the United States. There is a study that does link the side effects of some of the SSRIs with violence. I can find the exact passage for you here. Violence, especially random violence, is a complex manifestation of various thoughts, feelings, and external factors. When a multivariate analysis of these factors is conducted, it becomes apparent that it is not just mental health issues that are leading to an increase. There may be an underlying substance which plays a role in a high percentage of violent acts. The use of prescription antidepressants, specifically selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs. And you can find that that research in the show notes. So we typically never hear about any mass shooters or people doing crazy stuff if they've been on any form of SSRI, except just this week in Australia.
Wait, the way you put that is as if people that have taken these drugs have never reported as shooters. What the way you stated it wrong.
Oh, well, restate it for me then.
If we've never hear about any shooters possibly ever being on any of these drugs.
Right. That information is never, or as far as I know, never released. Although
never reported.
No. Well, never reported for sure. In Australia, that was different. We had a guy running around stabbing people in the neck, in the chest.
A stabber.
Yelling, Allahu Akbar.
I have a clip on stabbing. We have a jingle. You should play this.
No.
Jingle.
The last time we did that, it didn't work out well. You keep wanting the dumb stabbing jingle, which I don't have. And I'm going to stop again just to do it.
I don't remember ever requesting this jingle.
Oh, just recently.
Oh, just play it at the end of the show then.
All right. Okay, so he was running around stabbing people, yelling Allahu Akbar. Brave men jumped on this guy and pinned him down with chairs and tables and pitchforks, it looked like. But the reporting was great.
From those pictures provided by Paul Walker, a drug that was found next to this young man is called Antonex. We've just done a little bit of a digging. It's not too hard to find on the internet. It is a class of medicines which are usually used to treat anxiety and insomnia, also classed as tranquilizers. So they're sometimes used as an antidepressant medication, and sort of contains an active ingredient from diazepam, which is a very, very well-known relaxant and stimulant.
Yeah, diazepam I thought was supposed to make you sleep, but anyway, side effects of Antonex. Thank you very much, Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Loss of memory, inattentiveness, confusion, lack of concentration, unpleasant dreams, sudden anxiety, excitation, agitation, irritability, anger, abnormal behavior, hallucinations, delusions. Hello. If you dope these people up with this stuff, keep knives away from them.
Well, that brings up another topic, which is the drugs used that are rampant by the boatload. Like something like 55 million capsules were confiscated in Saudi Arabia, representing 5% of the total.
Let me guess. Erectile dysfunction drugs?
No, Captagon.
Oh, what is Captagon?
Captagon is the number one. It's kind of a metabolite. It's a crazy chemical that when you take it goes into the liver and splits into a very specific kind of amphetamine and some sort of other weird drug, and it makes you stay up all night and want to kill everybody, and you're invincible.
Lebanon's Bekaa Valley has a history of smuggling and trafficking of all sorts.
Oh wait, this is the stuff that ISIS was trafficking. They were all jacked up on Captagon. Wasn't that what this is?
Yep.
An area where illegal activities include narcotics. Ahmed is one of those who transports and sells a type of amphetamine called Captagon, a cheap and hugely popular drug in the Middle East.
If someone takes Captagon, he's sure to stay awake and not go to sleep. In a bag like this one, you get around 200 pills. One costs about $20, and some only $17 or $18 each.
Before the war broke out in Syria, all of the Captagon produced in Lebanon headed to the Gulf states. But a new market opened up with rebel fighters keen to get their hands on it. Traffickers and users don't bother about Sharia law when it comes to Captagon.
Every dealer has his contacts, his network. It's our business and no one else's. We sell in towns like Arsal in Lebanon or in others. We sell to rebel fighters and to anyone. All that matters is doing business.
Users tend to take the drug at night, according to this specialist.
When someone swallows Captagon, he feels more energetic and less tired. But it's only an impression, and the fatigue accumulates. Because it's a form of amphetamine, Captagon increases nervosity and makes the consumer delirious. All of that with that feeling that he's overpowerful.
Lebanese anti-narcotics forces managed to seize a significant amount of drugs, but they know that large quantities still cross borders.
In April 2014 alone, we seized 30 million pills that you can see here. 30 million Captagon pills. The drug is exported a lot to Gulf states and in particular to Saudi Arabia.
Easy to produce and to sell, Captagon is a drug of choice for smugglers. Its illegal trade could even increase as the war in Syria drags on, with youths desperate to escape reality and fighters looking to gain strength.
According to the Secretary General of the National Committee for Narcotics Control and Assistant Director of Anti-Drug and Preventative Affairs, 40% of the drug users who fall in the 12 to 22 age group in Saudi Arabia are addicted to this stuff. 12 to 22.
Yeah. Unreported. Anybody out there hear this in the mainstream media?
Well, we can't be doing that because they would stop advertising. It's almost as big as political advertising. That's right.
Yeah, the passive corruption.
You know, a couple shows ago, I brought up the Neurocrine medication for people with tardive dyskinesia. A reminder, this is what it was.
Before I was diagnosed by my doctor, I didn't know why my body was moving like it had a mind of its own. My eyes blinked way too much, even though I didn't mean to. It turns out I have tardive dyskinesia, a condition that may be related to important medications I take for my bipolar disorder.
So if you're on certain, I think in this case it is SSRIs, you may develop these tics, twitches, your tongue darting around in your mouth, the blinking of eyes. It looks a lot like Tourette's, but it's not. One of our producers said, hold on a second, you've discussed this on show 201, which has got to be 8 years ago, 9 years ago maybe. And listen to the context.
Okay, here's the clip that I watched this. You know, we've been playing ads for all these different drugs and all the problems they have. So I decided that there's an ad for Regulin, which is a product that's not on the market anymore, and they're suing people for, you know, they have a class action suit. And so this is an ambulance chaser ad for Regulin, and I'm listening to here's what you want to listen for. Listen to the symptoms that it causes, and think to yourself, wow, would I love to be in the court when these people came up to testify.
What is Regulin exactly?
I don't know.
Important medical alert for heartburn, GERD, and gastrointestinal patients and their families. The prescription drug Regulin, also known as metoclopramide, has been linked to a rare and serious condition called tardive dyskinesia. Symptoms include lip smacking, pursing, and puckering, grimacing, rapid eye movements or blinking, constant movement, foot tapping, and restless leg syndrome. If you or a loved one has used Regulin and experienced any of these symptoms, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation.
How cool is it that we identified the drug that does it, and now they've got an something that apparently combats it 8-9 years later. It's a great place, this country. We'll fuck you up with the one.
That's a great show we do.
Episode 201.
Wow. Well, of course, we were kind of mocking it.
Well, of course, we're mocking it.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
I don't remember mocking Snowden, though.
No,
but
me
okay.
Well, yeah. It's what some people think we're just wrong. How are we doing on 2020? I know you saw it because you tweeted about it out of disgust. My tip my tip, which you excoriated me for, Stacey Abrams looks like she's gearing up. She might be making a run for it if once somebody falls down. You saw her in Vogue magazine.
An eye roller.
What do you mean an eye roller? She has
what
all
the
the
hell
elements.
Is she doing in Vogue magazine, talking politics? What's wrong with Vogue magazine all of a sudden that they have nothing but politically inclined lefty?
Hello. This is the elite magazine. This is positioning. This is not because Vogue woke up one day and said, "Oh, let's get her in." No, there's something going on. This is a push. This is the same thing that, Beto and Vanity Fair. It's the same idea. It's a push. She's coming for you.
Well, it would go like this then. If I was going to predict anything, it would go Biden, Abrams.
That would be a fantastic combo, but she's already said she doesn't want to be VP.
Hey, people say a lot of things, but if you say to her, "Hey, look, watch Biden for a few minutes," do you think he's going to get through 4 years?
You'll be
8
president
years?
in 3 months. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And she wouldn't even have to go through horrible debates just with Mike Pence. Seems like a shoo-in.
Well, no, she'd have to go through a debate with Mike Pence.
Yeah, that's it. That's all she'd have to do.
Oh, yeah, right. Instead of all these other
she wouldn't have
characters.
She wouldn't have to debate Trump. Then now they get Joe in. She's in as VP. They slip him slip him a Mickey.
They got to send him to put some more than they're doing now. They got to give him. They got to jack him up.
How about some Captagon?
Captagon. Now you're talking. No one would be the wiser.
It would be great. In fact, I think someone should suggest that. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Jack Joe up on some Cap.
Jack him up. Put him on stage and let him kick some butt.
Jacked up Joe. Exactly.
Jacked up Joe.
He better do something, man. He's got to get something going. Elizabeth Warren has a chant. Everyone likes to have a chant. Have you heard her new chant?
Well, let me go look at the Google list and see if I can dream one up.
No, you'll never guess this one.
2 cents. 2 cents. 2 cents. You bet. 2 cents.
It's 2%, folks. 2020 candidate Senator Elizabeth Warren getting chants in support of her 2% wealth tax, but not every Democrat is on board. Billionaire and former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg calling Warren out for a tax on the 1% minutes after she left the same stage. Listen.
I just said to Senator Warren on the way out, Senator, congratulations. It was a nice talk, but just let remind you, if my company hadn't been successful, we wouldn't be here today. So enough with this stuff.
He's like, hey, simmer down, Lizzie. Don't be taking my money away.
Well, 2% is not that big of a hit, but
hold on. It's 2% every year.
Yeah,
that would be the idea. Yeah. Okay.
But assuming a lot of these guys, when you get that much money, you're accumulating more than 2% a year in additional money. Very few billionaires are it's always going up. And this is very easy to do. Now the actual wealth tax, a real one that taxes everybody. And it turns out when you do the calculation, I have an essay on this. I just haven't released it yet. I'll put it out next week.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand what you're talking about. I know the nuance of what your idea is.
Yeah, and I'll send you the essay. The essay has the numbers. I mean, the point is that if the wealth tax should be around 1.5%.
Yeah, but see, Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax is not a wealth tax; it's a wealthy tax. It has nothing to do with the proper wealth tax, which would be the only tax you're paying. This is in addition to everything else. No, so she's doing it. She's doing it wrong.
No, it's bullcrap, and it's something. It's probably constitutionally illegal, even though the wealth tax itself is questionable, as is a VAT. Yeah. But I'll write this up. I have a pretty good argument. I think I should put up a webpage and start promoting it.
I know. CosmicWeenie.com.
Cosmic Weenie will be where the essay is.
Yeah. So yes, you should register a domain name. DvorakWealthTax.com. Makes nothing but sense. You can be in a think tank.
I could be in a think tank or at the bottom of one. Hey, man on the street. If you wanted to do a man on the street,
yeah,
this black guy who does man on the street. His name Webb. I thought this was good because what you want to do if you're going to do man on the street interviews is you find a drunk.
What was his? So, man on the street, was this a compilation of multiple people answering the same question?
Well, I just put the one part, the drunk part. The guy's going from person to person. Why don't you like Trump? What is he doing wrong? And they can't answer.
Oh, okay. So they don't like him. They can't give a proper answer until they find the drunk guy.
Are you working with a group? You've got a UAW sign right there.
Donald Trump has accused me of whatever. No, I do not. Yes, I am union. Union is standing.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That aired on television?
Yeah, it was on Hannity had it.
Oh, I can't watch that guy.
Well, it's hard to watch. I got it from the internet.
Very hard to watch.
I do have a couple of ISOs.
Oh, good. I need one for the end of show.
All right, I got two. This is when Sanders was in. I have the Sanders clip here too. Bernie was in Iowa, but here is Bernie in Iowa. This is his ISO.
Thank you, Iowa.
Yeah,
well, it's just one of those things like thank you, Cleveland.
Yeah.
Okay, this might be better. This would be more up your alley. This is an Iowa woman.
Jeering? No. Cheering? Sure.
We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen.
So she said, jeering no, cheering yeah, and she was one of the Democrat
officials,
steering committee heads or something, telling people how to act. Keep your signs down. She had a whole spiel. Keep your signs down. Do this, do that, and then she had that little bit at the end, which I thought was hilarious.
All right, I have one last clip to play. This is from the OTG Off the Grid series. Again, this is not necessarily to protect you from security agencies, but to protect as much of your data as possible. But really for you to get off the smartphone, that is the battle. The battle is between you and that device you have in your pocket. You want to have something that functions, but that doesn't do too much too quickly, because then you'll keep reaching for it. Currently, I have the iPhone 5 stock, completely no external apps. I'm running the privacy. It's called, let me just double check the name of this app because I said it wrong. It's called Privacy Pro. And that pretty much puts the equivalent of a pie hole onto your device. And you turn off your location services. You got to trust Apple to a certain degree. And you can lock out all Google, all social media, all Facebook tracking images and what do you call it? Device, what's the word? Not sandboxing, but they do come on, what's the... I hate myself for not
jailbreak? I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the device recognition where they're doing canvas. They're doing a canvas on you so they can find out which device you're using. You can block all of that. And then ultimately, the thing is not going to work very well, but you can make calls, you can send text messages, you can get your email if you need to, and you can kind of be on the web browser for certain things, but even Twitter doesn't work very well on it if you don't have that part blocked off. Battery life, 5 days, it's fantastic, but the whole idea is to get rid of the usage of a smartphone. It seems to be hard for people.
You know, taking a break from technology might sound like a good idea, might sound relaxing, but there could be some negative side effects. According to new research in the Journal of Travel Research, the study shows that people who go off the grid when they travel, they can have withdrawal symptoms like, when you're trying to quit smoking or drinking. Research, cold turkey could be. Do it. You got to keep that device near. Researchers asked tourists to restrict access to their devices for at least 24 hours. And the participants said they felt anxious and frustrated at first, but eventually they enjoyed the digital detox. Eventually.
There you go. The digital detox is tough. It's not for everybody. But if you need support, you can always reach out to me if you're going OTG. I'm calling it. That's it for today.
Okay.
We will return on Sunday with another episode of your best podcast in the universe. You never know what will happen between then and now. But for sure, we'll rip it apart for you and watch everything that needs to be watched and read everything that needs to be reads. And coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 on the frontier here in Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region number 6. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's actually Mountain View, where all the Reed Reds live. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday right here on No Agenda. Until then, keep remembering us. And adios, mofos! And such.
My name is Sir Chris, the Drunkard Minstrel, and I am a douchebag. While my douchebaggery was pardoned by petition to a higher court, I was judged a douchebag in the Gitmo Court of Public Opinion, both by my peers and by my heir. As I oft entertain you with melodious sonnets, whimsical lyrics and cheap laughs, my life as a bard affords me just enough to fill my tankard with mead, replace the broken string on my lute, and still pay for the amygdala balm that is No Agenda. Sadly, a carelessly indulgent evening of wine, women, and song, with Nick the Rat, has left me with ne'er a farthing to my name, reeking of cheap liquor, common wenches, and bereft of my trousers, and such. As luck would have it, the lack of any trouser garmentry has afforded me the means enough to retrieve my loot out of hock. However, I'm able to neither fulfill my moral fiduciary duty to our show, nor wipe the smile off my face for one of the best nights I can't remember. Please go to Dvorak.org/NA and donate now, because I can't. Cheap laughs may be cheap, but often they come at a price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to Bing it.
Yeah. You're going to Bing it? Good.
Go to bingit.io.
Binging it? Yeah. Bing it.
It's pretty damn useful. I've just gotten into the habit of just binging stuff.
Yeah, Bing it. Yeah. Bing it. Bing it. Bing it. Bing it. Bing it.
What was I binging? I forgot what I was binging. Bing it, baby.
You were binging. Yeah, Bing it. Yeah, Bing it.
You should Bing that real quick.
I mean, Bing it.
Yeah, Bing it.
Just Bing it. Da, 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 da. Just Bing it. Da, 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 da. Just Bing it. Da, 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 da. Just Bing it. Just Bing it. Yeah.
Fail.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Cheering? No. Cheering? Sure.